debates, lively conversation,
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
and each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce,
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin,
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
the broken promises,
To deny that is denying the truth.
and the hypocrisy.
Allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings,
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now! Good afternoon, it's 12 o'clock on Saturday the 25th of July, and this is The Weekend on GB News. Cracking show coming up for you. Iran is accused of sending suspected agents into Britain by small boat as nearly 900 migrants crossed the Channel during Andy Burnham's first week in number 10, either north or south, take your pick, with hundreds more arriving today. Just how many foreign operatives could be living secret lives in Britain? And the horror story we've been covering all morning. Europe burns. Yes, forest fires ravage parts of France and Spain, with countless British holidaymakers forced to escape. And the blaze in Scotland's Cairngorms National Park continues for a 10th day, with hundreds evacuated there as well. And meanwhile, I'm not mentioning his name, but the Southport killer received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh Prison before he was moved to a cushy, secure hospital. The parents are understandably beside themselves. Is he manipulating the system? And a GB News exclusive for you. Asylum hotels may be closing, but isn't the truth just that the migrant crisis has simply been forced elsewhere?
I'm here in Piddington in Oxfordshire, where the government is planning to flood this tiny community of 350 people with 1,250 male asylum seekers. What do you think is going to happen?
And it wouldn't be the weekend without some good sport for you, would it? And Anthony Joshua is set to make his long-awaited return to the boxing ring this evening in his first fight since surviving that horrific car crash that killed two of his friends. I'm Dawn Neeson, and the weekend starts right here and right now. So good afternoon. Thank you so much for your company. Welcome to the weekend. And if you were with me this morning, thank you for your company this morning, and apologise for doing a double dawn on you today. But hey, I love your company so much. I'm really happy to spend my entire day with you if needs be. Now, as I always say, this show is always about you and your views. And we have got some stories for you today that are going to have you spitting your tea out this afternoon. They really are. Stories that will make you incredibly angry. We are going to talk, of course, about the Southport killer and why he is getting cushy treatment. Those poor families are still going through hell just days before the anniversary. And also we are talking about the boat migrants because, yes, loads more of them coming over here. And as we've been asking on GB News for a long, long time now, who are these people? Where do we know, what do we actually know about them? Well, it turns out many of them could be terrorists who were intent on actually bringing mayhem and death to the United Kingdom. Who knew? All those doctors and dentists and people that are going to build this country up. Nah, not really happening, is it? In any case, let me know what you think. That's what I think. gbnews.com/your say. Let me know your thoughts on all the stories we are discussing today. Or you can do the QR code thingy. I don't understand it either, but it's there. OK, now let's start with the main story we are covering today. Yes, the small boat crossings. And it has been revealed that Iran is sending covert operatives into the UK by posing as channel crossing migrants. Now, look, you and I aren't shocked by this. We all knew that was happening, but we've got to admit there are a certain group of people in society who thought maybe we're a little bit racist for even doubting the intentions of these migrants coming over here. Now, smuggling gangs have told The Telegraph that Tehran facilitated the journey to Britain for migrants in Calais in exchange for a favour to be carried out after they settled in the UK. This comes with the shocking news of nearly 900 migrants across the Channel during Andy Burnham's first week in either of his number 10s, with hundreds arriving today. I mean, this is indeed a lovely weather day, so what's going to happen? We know what's going to happen, don't we? And it is happening. So joining me now is former Director of General of UK Border Force, Tony Smith. Tony, good to see you. Thank you so much. Tony, first of all, colour me shocked that not all the people coming over in those small boats have our best interests at heart.
No, I think I might have said to you before, Dawn, there's two separate issues here. There's immigration and asylum, and there's border security. And I kind of did both in my career. Border security is the bigger problem, actually, because, as you said, we don't actually know who the people are that arrive on the small boats. We don't get any advanced information. Most of the border operates on data that we're able to capture because people present their passports when they come in here. We get the data from the carrier and we can do advanced risk assessment. The problem we have with these people arriving on the small boats is we have no idea when they're coming or who they are. And we don't have very long, Dawn, in the Border Security Command to debrief and screen them, only a day or two. And we don't have much to go on other than what they tell us or to take their biometrics. So we do what screening we can, but I'm afraid, in my view, that's not really long enough to conduct a very thorough screening interview to get into, sharing the information we've got at the border with some of the security services and other agencies who might be able to help us out to figure out whether they are really potentially, serious criminals or terrorists. And I've been worried about this for some time. Is the fact that people are turning up without a document. They're doing that for a reason. It's not just to get to stay here. It could sometimes be for more nefarious reasons, I'm afraid.
I mean, according to this story in The Telegraph today, that some of the human trafficking routes are literally owned by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. These are the people that are linked to the Houthis, to Hamas, to all these Islamic organisations that do nothing more than want to hurt the people of the United Kingdom as much as humanly possible. Indeed, there was one quote here from an Iranian official saying, "We don't need bombs and planes to target the UK. We have people there and more people on the way there via the boats who are willing to do it for us." It's frightening.
Yeah, there is a worry, Dawn, that there is a link between security terrorist organisations and human smuggling gangs. That's been around for some time. I chair several border security conferences around the world where people will tell you that they are concerned about this. But as far as the UK government is concerned, there's not very much we can do about it, Dawn. So I say we don't get any data or prior information unless somebody tells us that this is going on until these people arrive at our shores and at Dover. And And, you know, that's when we pick up the baton. And what concerns me is that we are under such pressure to grant them temporary admission quickly because we don't have any detention accommodation. We don't have powers to detain people under immigration laws unless we can remove them, which most of them we can't, of course, because of the asylum system. That's a real worry for border security. I do think we have to have a thorough look at, you know, people turning up at our border without a document, regardless of their admissibility to the country, must be detained and thoroughly scrutinised for long enough for all of the authorities, not just Border Security Command, but security services, to do a thorough investigation into background and so on and antecedents, do whatever checks we can on international databases, which I'm afraid quite often take longer than a day or two, Dawn.
As I say, Tony, that sounds like an awful burden of work. You have a sort of like a 30-year-old man turning up with no documentation whatsoever, just come across from France. That is going to take more, certainly as you say, more than a couple of days. And so what's the answer to this, Tony? Do we put them in secure camps while they are processed? And do we even have enough staff to do that?
Well, I would certainly have had Manston as a longer-term holding facility, Dawn, rather than what's known as a short-term holding facility. But the law requires that we clear people through there in just a couple of days. The immigration detention estate is quite small. The prisons are full. So the Border Security Command, Border Force haven't really got anywhere to go with this. You know, they have to grant them a temporary admission or immigration bail, and then you know what happens after that, Dawn. They go into the communities through one route or another. And then it's the amount of times I've been on your show, not your show, to all of you guys, you know, you cover this well, Dawn, you do cover this well, but there are so many stories now of people that have come in by a small boat and have gone on to perform atrocities. Now, that breaks my heart as a former Border Force leader. It breaks my heart that we're doing that. And I think the only answer to that is give us more time, more capability, more detention capabilities. There's some good people working there, Dawn. Let's not have a go at them. There's some really, really good people working out there trying to fix this, but they must have the powers and the infrastructure to enable them to do it. And that's where I fear, you know, there is still a risk to us until we can fix that problem.
And Tony, how confident are you that our new Prime Minister is going to fix that problem? I mean, he came in talking about rough sleeping. Absolutely fine, of course. Nobody wants to see people sleeping rough on our streets. But the big worry here, especially with this story, is these small boat crossings.
Yeah, I try and steer clear of politics wherever I work for lots of governments, lots of different ministers, Dawn. I try and steer clear. I do know Andy. Andy Burnham was in the Home Office with us for a while back in the day, but he was around the time of 7/7 and he did listen. He did listen to us about what we needed to do with the contest strategy. And I think he will understand this, but it's a long time ago. And I think, you know, we will only know, won't we, in time as to how he goes about. I'm glad he left Shabana Mahmood in the Home Office, but it will only know in time, really, about what his policy, how his policy rolls out on all this.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed he is listening, and fingers crossed he is listening to good people like you, Tony, as you said. I mean, we are not, and we never would at GB News have a go at the people that are doing the hard graft. I remember interviewing a lovely lady who was in charge of processing asylum claims, and she was in tears. She says, I'm literally rubber stamping people. I have no idea who these people actually are or their intentions toward us, but I have to do that. And she was in tears.
Yeah, and of course they're not allowed. You know, there's protocols, Dawn. You can't speak to the press when you're working in the department, and that's understandable. There's things that, you know, there are good things going on in government. That's what I can tell you. Really, really good things that don't get in the press because normally, you know, officials aren't allowed to speak out, and so that's one of the reasons I do this. I think, well, you know, let's not completely despair. There is good people and good work going on, but you know, sometimes you need help. You need help with infrastructure, legal authorities, things that are beyond your control as a civil servant.
Yeah, we need more people like you, Tony. Thank you indeed for joining us this morning. That's former Director General of UK Border Force, Tony Smith, there for you. Thank you so much. OK, now a Home Office spokesperson has said our first priority is national security. There are stringent security checks for small boat arrivals. Those identified as a threat will be detained immediately and we will do everything in our power to remove them at the earliest opportunity. On top of these robust processes, we have fast-tracked a change in the law to outlaw support for the IRGC, equipping the police and intelligence service with more power to disrupt those working on their behalf and making it easier to prosecute them. OK, we'll Please do let me know what you think about that one. Many of you will, I know, and I understand. I understand your anger. OK, now let's move on. It is that time of year. Obviously, the weather is gorgeous. It's summer, where many people are swimming in the sea and rivers to cool off. But the tragic side to this is an uptick in drownings. This Global Drowning Prevention Day, we're bringing you all the tips that are needed to stay safe in the water this summer. National reporter Sophie Reaper spoke to a mum turned campaigner about how the loss of her son Dylan changed her life forever. Have a listen.
I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I didn't teach you. I'm sorry I didn't know.
In 2011, Becky's 13-year-old son, Dylan, went swimming with some friends at a local quarry. But he never made it home.
You think that if you can swim, then you can swim anywhere, but that's just not the case. Open water is so much different to a swimming pool, and unfortunately I'd never taught Dylan that. I'd never taught Dylan about the dangers in and around open water. I'd never taught him about cold water shock. He didn't know. He didn't go out that day to die. He went out for a bit of fun. I wish as a mum I was better educated to be able to educate him, because I know that had he known, he wouldn't have took the risk that day.
Now, Becky has dedicated her life to doing it for Dylan, a campaign which educates people about the dangers of open water swimming.
Water safety isn't about putting a pair of pyjamas on and jumping into a nice, warm, sanitised swimming pool and picking up a rubber brick from the bottom of the pool, which is what it was when I was at school, and I don't think it's moved on very much, to be quite honest. Your children need to be educated, and if I could give any parent any piece of advice, it would be to please, please, please educate yourself so that you can educate your children, then at least they can make an educated choice.
Every summer, families around the UK are left heartbroken by drowning-related tragedies. Whether it be the sea, a reservoir or a quarry, open water proves fatal to so many every year.
If you find yourself in difficulty, what we recommend people to do is to float to live. Try and lie on your back with your head tilted back, your ears submerged. Use your arms and legs just to steady yourself, and just try and get used to the water temperature and steady your breathing. And once you've become accustomed to that temperature and your breathing is normalised, you can either shout for help or swim to safety.
Jim worked with Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue for more than 30 years. And now, given the frequent heat waves we've been experiencing this summer, the advice from Jim and Water Safety England is increasingly important. Here's what they say you should do if you see someone struggling in the water.
Phone, float, throw. Phone 999 and ask for the fire service if you're inland. Ask for the Coast Guard if you're at the seaside. And then float. So tell the person to float on the back, just as we described, and float to live. And then the final thing is throw. If you can throw them something that floats, like a football or a rugby ball or any public rescue equipment that you might have nearby, but phone, float, throw.
Now, with the recent spate of drownings and more hot weather to come, water safety and education is more critical than ever before. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Tragic story, but a very important message, and a very simple: phone, float, throw. You could save someone's life. And I watched the kids in the canal near me, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, you don't even know what's under that water as well. It's awful. So please, if you are even thinking about it, so you've got kids out there, take care, and remember, phone, float, throw. Simple, but it does work. Okay, I'm Dawn Neeson, this is GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show. The Southport killer, not using his name, received visits from a Muslim imam at a Belmarsh prison before he was moved to a very, well, cushy, secure hospital. Is he manipulating the system, though? The parents of his victims think that is the case. All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts,
5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
How can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Now, lots of you have been getting in touch, as I thought you would, about the small boat crossing story that we were discussing earlier on, and about that the Telegraph today have a report that many of the people, not many, but some of the people coming across the boats are indeed undercover Iranian terrorists intent on causing absolute bloodshed and mayhem in this country. Lots of you are angry. We had a statement from the government as well that stated that security is our priority. And Sharon, amongst many of you, is getting very annoyed, saying our security is obviously not a priority. It is just words. And Stephen says there should be a new law, no passports or identity, and you're not treated as a migrant. You are an illegal, unidentified immigrant and deported back to France. The problem, Stephen, as we've discussed many, many times, is that the French won't take them back, so we need somewhere else to send them. Rwanda was once an option, but that's not on the table. We are in a mess with this one. Meanwhile, Janet says our heroes from World War I and II wouldn't have put up with this. No way. They believed in us and this country. Why aren't we doing the same? And I do like the sense of humour, I know. Gary said Burnham liked Andy Burnham, our new Prime Minister. Do you know we've got one? Anyway, Andy Burnham likes bus services, Gary. There's a great one in the channel at zero cost except for us taxpayers, but it is a country destroyer. Stop it now. I mean, a sense of humour there, Gary, but yeah, it's beyond a laughing matter if just one person in these small boats turns out to be one of those Iranian terrorists and does create bloodshed and havoc. And, you know, as we know, there have been, how many have there been now? There have been more than 20 potentially lethal Iranian plots over the past 12 months in this country. And guess which the most popular nationality on those small boats are? You won't be shocked to hear it's Iranians. Put those numbers together. OK, now let's move on. The other story that I've been really upset and angry about, and I know many of you have as well, is to do with that piece of filth. I'm refusing to use his name, not going to use it, that took the lives of those little girls in Southport, coming up to 2 years ago in a couple of days' time. It's the anniversary coming up on the 29th. The families of those children murdered in the Southport attack have expressed their sadness after the killer was transferred from prison, a Category A prison, to Broadmoor Secure Hospital, with their lawyer saying they fear he is manipulating the system, questioning whether this is a mental health crisis or another attempt to exploit the processes. New details have revealed he's received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh Prison before he was moved to that cushy, not my words, that is the official description being used by many people talking about this story, certainly on the front page of The Sun today, Secure Hospital, which will allow the triple child killer to visit a multi-faith sanctuary at Broadmoor as many times as he wants. It also has a games room, etc., etc. It's meant to be a secure mental hospital, but it's certainly a lot more cosier than a prison, and obviously it is a lot more expensive than a prison as well. Keeping someone in a high security psychiatric hospital costs you and I, the taxpayer, more than £300,000 a year compared to £60,000 to keep them in prison. Okay, joining me now is former Scotland Yard detective Mike Neville. Mike, thank you so much for joining me. This story it's just awful. It's just an awful, awful story, as if those families of Bibi, Elsie and Alice have not suffered enough. Just days before the anniversary of the murder of their daughters, they are faced with the knowledge, front page of The Sun, so I'm going to hold it up for you people, is this. Killer conned his way to a cushy life. That's The Sun's headline, not my words. Mike, what do you make of this story?
Well, it's absolutely disgusting, isn't it? We were told that Broadmoor's had a £250 million refurb. I mean, what do you get for £250 million? And he's going to live almost a life of luxury. I mean, what me and you and the viewers would no doubt want is him to be locked into a dark cell, into a dungeon and fed bread and water. That's all he deserves for the next 52 years. On a personal level, I would have seen him hang. And I think the other thing that people are going to be concerned about is how the government gaslit us with the Welsh choir boy or the Rwanda's a Christian country, all this sort of carry on that we were fed. And now we hear he's been seen by an imam. We knew also about the ricin that was found at his home. The government knew about that on the day, I would suggest, because he's not some international terrorist. He lived with his parents. So it wasn't difficult to search his bedroom. And that was hidden from us for months. So it's a way, I think, what the public will be outraged at is, firstly, the treatment of this manipulative, wicked, evil killer, possibly the worst murders that we've ever seen in this country, that he's allowed to go and live a cushy life, watching TV and films and Netflix and whatever else. And secondly, the way the government actively tries to tell us lies. And it's just not good for society that this is going on.
I mean, Mike, the family weren't told about this move either. And it happened, obviously, as we keep coming back to it, happened just 2 days, or a few days before the second anniversary of this atrocity. I have to ask myself, it's like the criminals do seem to get more consideration than the victims these days. That's one hell of a sick society.
It is a sick society, and it's how many of the criminals do this, because we only hear it. It's like with the terrible death of PC Andrew Harper. It only comes to light that wicked and evil criminals are being released very early because of one very high-profile case. And well done to his mother and wife for highlighting that. But how many others, really? And in this case, how many other wicked and evil criminals who should be in a dungeon are now in Broadmoor because they're able to play the game? You know, for those old enough to remember, you remember the film One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest was about exactly this, about how a criminal manipulates the system because he thinks that jail is bad and he'll have a cushy life in a mental health hospital. Well, that was supposed to be a comedy. This isn't a comedy. It's, as you say, a national tragedy. And people will just go away from this thinking, I have less and less faith in the criminal justice system, less and less faith in the government. And what a nation we've become when that happens.
And Mike, the one thing I'm also confused about is he was sane to stand trial. No psychiatrist has ever said he's insane. Obviously, what he did, you've got to be insane. But he's, as far as the doctor's concerned, he's not criminally insane. So why is he being transferred to a psychiatric hospital?
Too often we see this. We saw the same with the Yorkshire Ripper, didn't we? Peter Sutcliffe was judged to be guilty of murder, put in a prison, and suddenly the authorities decide, well, it's easier for everybody if he goes to Broadmoor. We've seen exactly the same with this wicked and evil young man. Maybe it's easier for the establishment to put him in there, but we're not interested in what's easy. What we should be seeing is justice, and justice for this young man would be, as I've said, to be locked into a dungeon deep under the ground and visited once a day by a priest and given bread and water and a copy of the Bible. And that should be his life for the next 52 years.
I think many would agree with you. And just as a parting note, I mean, if he serves the rest of his term in, indeed, Broadmoor, the cost to the taxpayer will be £13 million.
Be quite incredible. And I could go to a hardware store and buy something that would cost about £5, which would bring a solution to all our troubles.
Mike, you have a very strong opinion on this, and I completely understand that. But with the death sentence, because that's what we're talking about, is it not a slippery slope?
No, it isn't a slippery slope at all. We've got all sorts. We've got DNA, fingerprints, CCTV, all sorts of digital devices. Where there is a question, let's say you look at Lucy Letby, where there's maybe some possible doubt, then you keep people in the prison until you've sorted out the doubt. With this young man, there is absolutely no doubt whatsoever. With Peter Sutcliffe, there was no doubt. With Ian Brady and Myra Hindley, there was no doubt. And yet all our taxpayers' money were kept on keeping these people alive. And as I said, I, with my hand on my heart, would be the hangman when it comes to this. We need to do something to turn this country around, to make sure that criminals know that wickedness and evil, particularly killing people, will result in the end of their own life.
Yeah, Mike, very strong words, very passionate words, but I hear you, and many people are agreeing with you. Former Scotland Yard Detective Mike Neville there, thank you so much for joining us. OK, now let's go to the other side and see what the government have had to say. The Ministry of Justice have said the families of those murdered and injured in Southport will be in this country's heart forever, and our thoughts remain with them. The offender who carried out these vile crimes will rightly spend the entirety of his 52-year custodial sentence locked up and is unlikely to ever be released. That word unlikely is still a lot of weight carrying there. He's only 19 years old at the moment. In any case, the Metropolitan Police said it has seized more than 2,500 illegal e-bikes in London so far this year. Already more than the whole of last year. Now, officers are stepping up Operation Lexand, their crackdown on e-bike crime, with one of the biggest deployments of its kind this year. GB News presenter Sam Francis has been out with officers in central London investigating what's going on here.
45 kilometres an hour.
They look like ordinary e-bikes, but police say hundreds on London streets are anything but. Modified to go faster, harder to stop, and increasingly used by offenders.
Because of the sort of modifications you have on the bike, it's technically considered as a motorbike rather than a pencil.
The Met is targeting e-bikes it believes may be dangerous or illegal, helping offenders get away after crimes including phone theft and drug dealing. Met Commander Nirav Patel says legal riders are not the target.
We know that e-bikes are used in a variety of different ways, and I think the first thing to say is that they absolutely are a legitimate form of transport for people to get about the city. We recognise that. But sadly, there is also a criminal and antisocial use to e-bikes and e-scooters, which is exactly what we're focusing on this morning.
At the centre of the operation is a piece of technology called a DynoStar, a rolling road which allows officers to test a bike safely while it stays in one place. The police are not just stopping riders and looking at bikes, they're testing it right here on the streets using technology like this that can tell whether an e-bike has been altered beyond the legal limit. The cutoff is clear. If an e-bike can keep powering itself above 15.5 miles an hour, it's no longer treated as a bicycle. It's effectively a motor vehicle and must be taxed, insured, and road legal. Some bikes passed the test.
I'm going to say this is perfectly legal.
Others did not. This bike, officers said, had been modified well beyond what's allowed.
We've seen you ride this e-bike, 750 watts, which is already illegal. We've tested it on our rolling road, and it goes 36 kilometres an hour. The legal limit is 25 kilometres an hour.
For police, the danger is not just the speed, it's also about where these bikes are being ridden.
In places like this, where pedestrians, traffic and cyclists are all packed into one place, the Met say their operation is about both crime and safety, taking e-bikes off the streets before they can be used to harm people, intimidate the public or help offenders to carry out crime.
PC Wareham says that some riders know exactly what they're doing.
They often, unfortunately, weave in a traffic, go over red lights, and you can tell by the way they talk to you and what they say, they're completely aware of what they're doing and they know that they shouldn't be doing it.
The Met says it has now seized more than 2,500 illegal e-bikes in the first 7 months of this year. That's already more than the whole of last year. The challenge now, though, is scale. E-bikes have become part of everyday life, most are legal, many essential for work. But the modified ones can be fast, heavy, hard to stop, and police say useful to criminals. Today's operation is designed to make that harder. Sam Francis, GB News.
Thank you, Sam. That's a really important report. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm terrified by those things. If they're modified illegally, they go 60 miles an hour. And if you're trying to make your way down the pavement, they don't understand the concept of pavement and road either, do they? Let me know your thoughts on those. gbnews.com/your say. Now, it's just gone 12:30 already, golly gosh. It's time for the Great British Giveaway. And you know what it is by now. It's our Golden Summer celebration. £60,000 in tax-free cash and a gold bar worth over £5,000. Very easy to win. Here's how you do it.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date. A fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Now, lots of you have been getting in touch about all the subjects we're talking about today, which is great. Thank you so much. Although, Yvonne, that's such a sad message. Yvonne, in reference to the e-bike story, says a dog was killed by some yob riding an e-bike in Lowestoft just last week. Yeah, obviously, we're thinking about human beings here, but animals also, these yobs on bikes. I agree with you. Meanwhile, talking about the Southport killer, not using his name, James has said, we definitely need to build at least one supermax prison to put these animals in. Run it like the Americans do. 23 hours a day lockdown, shower comes to the door, only basic food and only themselves for company. I know I would put in this first, and James, I have to agree with you on that one as well. But again, it's the staff to actually staff these things, isn't it? Okay, now keep them coming in. By the way, gbnews.com/your say. Now coming up, another story that's going to annoy you. Sorry about that. Asylum hotels may be closing, but isn't the truth just that migrant crisis has simply been forced elsewhere? We'll speak to a resident in a very small, quaint village of Piddington who is fighting back against government plans to open a very large asylum seeker site nearby. You know that was coming, didn't you? All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Some rain around today, particularly across the north, but across the south, lots of sunshine and feeling very warm, if not quite hot in the sunshine at times. Now the reason for this rain, it's all due to this cold front slowly sinking its way southwards. Quite a few isobars on the chart as well, so it's quite a blustery start to the day. Winds gradually easing through the course of the afternoon. Very cloudy across much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Some spells of rain, if not some showers across Scotland. But to the south of this, a dry day ahead, much lighter winds, feeling very warm in that sunshine. Highs reaching widely between 26 to 29 degrees Celsius. They're a little bit fresher under the cloud. Highs here reaching into the high teens. Now to finish off the day, a mostly cloudy end across Scotland, a few showers skirting around, particularly around coastal areas. Perhaps a little bit of brightness to end the day across Aberdeenshire. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, plenty of cloud here and some spells of rain at times. Some rain just gradually starting to push into northwest Wales, but otherwise across much of the south and southeast, it should be a dry end to the day with some late evening sunshine. Now we'll see some showers ease away for a time and then eventually thicker cloud and more rain starting to push in from the west. This could turn a little bit heavy across the hills of Scotland and northern parts of England. Lots more cloud pushing into parts of the south and southeast overnight as well. And with the cloud and rain, that should hold temperatures up most towns and cities in the mid to high teens. Now on Sunday for many of us, quite the change. Plenty of cloud around, some spells of rain clearing their way eastwards and then plenty of showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. We will see some splashes of rain across parts of the south, but fairly hit and miss showers, so still very dry across these areas. Feeling much fresher, not quite as warm for many areas, highs reaching 25 degrees.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to The Weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. And I have to say, a cracking team behind the glass here as well. They do a sterling job all over the weekend. They put in some hours and most of them are very young, apart from the director who's positively ancient, obviously. In any case, they're doing a lot of hard work for you. Now, the story we're going to cover now is going to annoy you. Sorry about that. The government has pledged to end the use of asylum hotels by 2029. Yay! Brilliant. But how are they getting on with that promise exactly? Well, according to an Oxfordshire village called Piddington, beautiful little place, not very well at all. The Home Office is planning to house some 1,250 male asylum seekers at a nearby former military base. Residents in Piddington say they were, this is coming as well, were not properly consulted. So we've sent a GB News Wonder correspondent, Ben Leo, to find out what exactly is going on. Here's his report for you.
Hello, Ben Leo here from GB News in Piddington, near Bicester in Oxfordshire, where we're checking out the latest government site where they propose to put 1,250 male asylum seekers near a village, by the way, of just 300 to 400 people. This is Bicester Garrison, just down the road from the quaint English village, Piddington, where, as I said, the government soon hopes to spring a surprise on the locals. 1,250 asylum seekers who will be free to roam the streets of the community. We don't know who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are, and it's causing concern among locals. Hello, sir. How are you? We're from GB News. We're just doing a story on. Are you taking pictures of us as well?
Yeah, I'm from CB News, right? Yeah, I'm taking pictures here.
GB News.
Right. And
why are you?
I'll be doing recording as well.
Oh, okay.
Right.
We're just doing a story on.
Give me a sec, right?
Why are you taking pictures, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, you can, obviously, but...
Yes, I can tell you, right? Why I'm taking pictures is right for my protection and your protection as well.
Oh, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just a humble journalist. Sorry, what's your firm you work for? Hello?
Have a nice day, sir. Yeah?
Okay. That wasn't the question, but very hostile, strange response to pulling up and just saying hello.
This is not army barracks that is ready for refurbishment for accommodation. This is a munitions site. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't had anybody here for over 20 years. I suspect they'll have to knock the whole thing down. It's just a very large piece of land, ultimately, but I don't think any of the infrastructure, sewage, electricity, water, all of that's going to have to be put in. Their pitch nationally is that moving people out of hotels is going to save a lot of money. Our view is this is going to cost tens and tens and tens of millions to create something sustainable and workable for the asylum seekers.
Okay, Ian, let's go. This is the only playing field you have. Let's take a quick look. Beautiful. Football goals for the children, dogs walking as well, and it says there, of course, reserve exclusively used by Piddington residents, which I guess would include 1,250 newcomers. So where that power cable is, that's the site?
Yeah, that's the start of the site. It's almost literally up behind those row of trees.
So this is here. This is the site boundary. This is the Jubilee Recreation Ground, and then this is the site here, just a few yards.
Yeah, literally a few yards.
Into the trees. Do you get youngsters, children playing in here regularly? Because this is within eyesight of the fence here, isn't it?
I think it'll change the feeling of the whole village, and for all the kids in particular.
Yeah. Every 90 days or so, these young men will be going off to different sites, so they don't even have a chance to kind of assimilate into the community, would they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. For me, it's all about risk. I want to be able to take my children to the park. It's worrying, really, to think that this is their life, this is where they're going to be growing up, and it just doesn't feel safe anymore. I'm not sleeping very well at night now. I'm really quite concerned.
I've got an 18-year-old daughter. I'm happy at the moment. In the evening, she likes to walk the dog, so I'm happy for her to come, take the dog. If this goes ahead, I won't be happy doing that. I would like Andy Burnham to come down, talk to the village, and actually have a look around the village and actually have a look around the site and see what's there and let him make his mind up. Sat behind a desk is not giving him a real, true picture of what's going on here.
So you'd happily invite him down to Piddington?
And I will show him around personally.
Interesting report, and lots of you are having the same question as me. The guy that Ben was talking to there, as Bugsy Malone has just pointed out, is American. So why is there an American guard at that base? I mean, he might just be an American working over it. I don't know the answer to that question, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? OK, now let's speak to an actual local resident of Piddington, Jamie Perkin. Mr Perkin, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. Just tell me, for those not familiar with Piddington, just paint a little portrait of what Piddington is actually like for us.
So Piddington's a very small village. There is 350 or so people, quite a lot of elderly people, quite a lot of children, 100 or so houses, no amenities, no pub, no shop, nothing. The closest amenity to the village is a primary school in the village across from us, which is about a mile or so away.
OK, and when did you first hear about these undocumented young men being dumped on your doorstep?
The same as everyone else. 24th of June is when we found out, and then since then we've been given nothing. We've tried to contact them. We've heard absolutely nothing. It's deafening.
And so this site is, as Ben was saying in his report, was just basically a derelict site. It has no facilities, it has no sewage, no electricity. It hasn't been used by sort of like, the army for training or anything like that.
It's a collection of 5 or 6 massive asbestos buildings that are falling down. There's no services there. There's absolutely nothing. So what's going to happen, we just simply don't know. It's anybody's guess at the moment. The problem is that the deafening silence from the government since this has been proposed has been outrageous. Our local MP, our chair of the parish council worked so hard. A lot of people have written open letters to people, nothing. Tim McNally, our parish chair, has openly written to Andy Burnham already. This is the chap who took over as Prime Minister this week, and a mere 24 hours ago said that his priority is to keep people safe. He can't do that with what he's proposing.
And Jamie, you're obviously a strapping young man yourself, but you're telling me genuinely that people in Piddington are scared for their safety.
Absolutely. I'm a father of a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 8-month-old baby. I love the village because it gives me so many good things to do in life. It gives my children freedom. It, I've said it before, sadly, our daughter is buried in the village, which is why we moved back to the village.
So sorry.
It has given me and my family a lot, and it means a lot to most people that live there. And that is why this isn't a case of 1,250 people just because they're asylum seekers. This could be 1,250 anybody. If you were to quadruple the population of any town, village, city in this country, if anywhere, it wouldn't happen. It would not happen.
And would you feel more secure, Jamie, if the base was secure, that these people that are going to be placed there weren't allowed to wander around freely? And we saw the recreation ground there with little kids playing, people walking their dogs. But if the asylum seekers were secure on that base, would you feel better about that situation then?
Yes and no, because like you've just seen in the footage, my children play there, i.e. quite literally next to where these people will be. The government don't know anything about these people. We don't know anything about these people. We're being told that they're going to have to hire staff to find the age of these people out. So let alone trying to find their name, their background, what they've done in the past. And this isn't to say, and we've said this the whole time, this isn't to say that the majority of those people could be very nice people that could contribute to our economy and make it a good place. But we don't know that. We can't be playing with people's safety. We are 350 people. The size, 4 to 1 almost, it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about Piddington. I said this before. This isn't just about Piddington. This is now, because we're not going to be the first, and we're certainly not going to be the last. They're going to try this everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're in a lucky position, I suppose, so far that we haven't got a barracks there. So a lot of people have reported this is a barracks. This isn't a barracks. These are quite literally dangerous asbestos buildings that are unsafe, and these are World War I, World War II storage units. Soil hasn't been touched since then. It's going to be a very, very dangerous site.
OK, well, thank you so much for talking to us this morning, Jamie. We will keep in touch and keep covering this story for you, and hopefully you'll get a response from the government at some point. That's the local resident of Piddington, Jamie Perkin, then. Well, worrying times as it could happen to a village near you very soon, or even your village. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, lots more coming up. Anthony Joshua is set to make his long-awaited return to the boxing ring this evening in his first fight since surviving that horrific car crash that killed 2 of his friends. Aidan McGee will be here with that story for you.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What do you think about where we're going to get our future athletes and our Olympians from when we're telling our children, oh, you can't go out and partake in sports today because it's a bit hot?
It really worries me. We have a generation that spend their life being very inactive, an awful lot of time on mobile telephones, coming up with every excuse as to not to move and not to be moving. Sport in schools is where we can catch every kid. And the kids that will lose out are the kids that come from areas of deprivation, because the parents that can afford to make sure their children do sport will still do that. But the parents that can't afford, sadly, will miss out. So it's really important that our kids, do enough physical activity, lay down these habits, understand about how their body works and nutrition and food and looking after themselves and health. We have a health crisis. It's really important we start early.
The People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News entertainment editor Alex Davies joins us now. What a woman, what a voice, what an incredible life. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, like you said, she's a singer whose songs have transcended generations, really. Everybody knows Total Eclipse of the Heart. Everybody knows Holding Out for a Hero. She's been awarded an MBE. She represented the UK at Eurovision. And it's just very sad. Tributes have already started to pour in from across the showbiz world and just fans in general. This is somebody who's, like I said, transcended generations with her music and will continue to do so posthumously.
Well,
Thanks so much. I met her just once in a green room. She was an absolute delight. And even speaking, she had that great rasping voice.
Oh, what an incredible voice.
Incredible voice.
GB News, the People's Channel. Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
So you go along to the car showroom and only like 10%, at most maybe 15%, pay cash. The rest buy on some form of financing. And you often buy, it's a bit like a mortgage, and you buy, it's like buying a mortgage from the estate agent, which we all know is a terribly bad idea. But this is what people did. And the deal is, the scandal is, the guys in the showroom were acting as dealers and brokers, and they were in many cases inflating the interest rate that you paid so that they could get bigger commission. And they didn't declare that. So you basically ended up paying more for your car than you would otherwise have done if you'd gone into the open market and found yourself, a better deal.
How did that come to light?
Well, over many years. I mean, this has been going on since 2007.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, welcome back to The Weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company. And it is, being the weekend, we have to do sport, don't we? Which is handy, because I really, really like sport. And broadcaster Aidan McGee is here with all the big stories for us. Aidan.
Indeed, yeah. Look, only one place to start today, Dawn, because this is boxing, but it straddles over 2 days. Not quite like the World Cup, which went on something like 50 days, didn't it? But this is boxing. Yesterday, 4 p.m, Tyson Fury fought against a Polish guy called Mariusz Wach, and look, it was pretty processional. He got to the start of the 8th round and retired on his stool, so didn't actually make it out to the 8th round.
Very much below radar, that fight. I mean,
it was.
I haven't seen anything of it or anything.
I think it's called a tune-up fight for a reason. I'm not sure there was much of a market to take it on TV anyway, even though it was Tyson Fury. But he did decide to keep it for his At Home with the Furies Netflix series, so that's what he's been saved for. So very little media came out of it. The only quotes I've seen are written in print. Only 1,500 fans there as well in Pattaya in Thailand. So as I say, he just wanted I was speaking to Frank Warren yesterday and today, and he said he just wanted the rounds under his belt, and he got through that. And we thought he might fly to Jeddah either this evening or last night or today, but he said afterwards, absolutely no way. He said, I'm not going to waste my time. He said, I don't think Anthony Joshua's got the cojones to want to beat me anyway, or want to play for even step in the ring with him. So he said, I've got a more important face-off with my wife Paris at home. She's not seen me for 6 of the last 7 weeks, and he's got a pile of ironing to do.
Good luck with that, Tyson.
Exactly. So he's not going to be there, but I imagine he'll be keeping an eye on Anthony Joshua tonight. Joshua has been very low-key in terms of his build-up. His fight is not expected to be a huge assignment either against Christian Prenga of Albania. But having said that, he still has to get the job done. And if you think about it, Anthony Joshua, he was in the news on December 29th last year, owing to the crash that killed 2 of his friends. 10 days before that, he fought Jake Paul in a kind of exhibition match. It wasn't real fighting. You got the impression it was choreographed. Before that, he hadn't fought for a long, long time. So he's very much out of condition. Well, you'd think that now he's closer to the condition or closer to where he wants to be. Tyson Fury as well. There's a long way to go still until November, when we think the fight will be. But as I say, AJ has been quiet this week. Didn't want to talk about Fury too much because he didn't want to disrespect his opponent. He's been slapped a few too many times in the last few years, certainly since the Andy Ruiz fight in 2017, or 2019 rather, when he unexpectedly lost. And so he doesn't want to count his chickens, but I expect him to get through tonight. Then we're looking at November, and I think Frank Warren is right yesterday when he said this is the biggest UK fight of all time. It would be rather fitting if
it's in the UK?
Yes, it would be wonderful if it was in the UK. I think Wembley would be the forerunner or the front runner for that to happen. It's held 80,000 before for Froch against Groves 2 in 2014, and I can see it happening there again. But Tyson Fury yesterday speculated that it could happen in Ireland. Croke Park has been mentioned as a venue, even New York, Madison Square Garden. And, of course, don't forget, he even mentioned Thailand.
Well, it's all about the money, isn't it? Follow the money in boxing these days. Aidan McGee, thank you so much. Right, you lot don't go anywhere. We'll be back after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A bit of a change ahead for some of us. We're going to see a few more spells of rain, not feeling quite as warm into tomorrow either for some of us. We've also had some rain this afternoon. That's mostly where we see this cold front sinking its way southwards. Fair few isobars on the chart as well, so a bit breezier at times across the north. Well, we'll see that rain sinking south. It will continue to bring some light outbreaks across central areas of England and Wales, and a few showers starting to creep in across parts of the south. Another band of heavy rain pushes in from the west as well. It could be quite heavy across the hills of Scotland first thing on Sunday morning. And with the cloudier skies, that means temperatures won't drop too low, mostly in the mid to high teens. So to start on Sunday, it's going to be rather unsettled across Scotland. Quite a wet start and quite windy across some coastal areas as well. And still, some of this rain could be a little bit heavy across the hills. Very similar across Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. Most of the rain will have cleared, but we've got plenty of cloud and scattered showers following on behind. And a similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Now, across much of the south and southeast, they will see some splashes of rain as we head through tomorrow, but very light outbreaks and very hit and miss showers, so some areas will still remain dry. But across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, and at times across the Midlands, we will see some showers which could turn a little heavy. But any showers we do see across the south will have fizzled away by the afternoon, so more sunnier spells to develop here. But notice a change in temperatures, highs only reaching around 25 degrees Celsius, so still warm and pleasant, but a little bit fresher compared to what we've had this afternoon, and certainly feeling that bit cooler across northern areas of the UK. Some showers still lingering across the evening before eventually fading away. Plenty of clear skies across Scotland actually to finish off the day, so a cooler night here. And then sunshine will build back through into next week along with the higher temperatures.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
That was a quick break, wasn't it? Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock on Saturday, the 25th of July, and this is the weekend on GB News. Packed hour coming up for you. Iran is accused of sending suspected agents into Britain by small boat as nearly 900 migrants crossed the channel during Andy Burnham's first week in either of his number 10s, with hundreds more arriving today. Just how many foreign operatives could be living secret lives in Britain, though? And this shocking story coming from Europe. Europe is indeed on fire. Forest fires ravage parts of France and Spain and Italy even, with countless British holidaymakers forced to escape. And also here in the UK, the blaze in Scotland's Cairngorms National Park continues for a 10th day, with hundreds being evacuated there. Meanwhile, the Southport killer, whose name I will never use again, received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh prison before he was moved to a cushy, in inverted commas their words not mine, secure hospital. Is he manipulating the system, though? The parents of his victims certainly think so. And our new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, promised a fresh start, but after a whirlwind of new policies, funding questions and cabinet rows, how has his first week of Prime Minister really gone? We'll be discussing that one as well. And Elon Musk believes Britain will erupt into civil war in years to come, warning mass migration will bring a national reckoning. Do you think he's right on that one, though? And the Game Fair, a highlight of the rural calendar, is taking place today. We're on the scene for the annual celebration of the great British countryside.
Yes, thousands coming into Ragley Hall to get a taste of countryside sports, from equestrian to fishing, from shooting to dog handling. It's all on target to be a great day. We'll be live throughout the programme.
Very dapper as well, I do get that. I'm Dawn Neeson and this is The Weekend. So thank you so much for your company this Saturday lunchtime. Always much, much appreciated, because I know how busy weekends are for all of you. And as always, this show is all about you and your views. And many, many of you have been getting in touch about some of the really upsetting stories we're covering today. Certainly the Southport killer being moved to Broadmoor Hospital despite not having any evidence of any mental illness whatsoever. That story, lots of you getting in touch with. And the other story that isn't really a shocker, we all knew it was happening, but we were told we shouldn't be worried about it, and we were racist if we were, about the small boat migrants. Many of them, or some of them, we don't know exactly. This is the problem, we don't know how many. Could be Iranian agents coming over here to basically try and blow us up. We don't know who these people are, and we do know from the other story we're discussing today about them being housed in deserted barracks, or they're not barracks, in a small village in Oxfordshire, that we don't know who these people are, and they are suddenly being moved wholesale into tiny villages in the British countryside. Lots of you getting in touch about all those stories. But it's all about all the stories, and indeed what you want to talk about. It is a Saturday lunchtime, so even if you just want to have a natter, you're feeling a bit lonely, we're here for you. gbnews.com/your say is the way to get in touch. And I'm afraid we have got a bit of a shirker reading the news for you now. I mean, she just doesn't put the hours in at all, this young lady. It's Bethany Elsey with your news headlines.
Dawn, thank you. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 1:03. More than 220,000 people in France and Spain have been told to leave their homes as severe wildfires continue to spread. The French government has deployed the army to tackle the flames, which are approaching Bordeaux, including the airport. President Emmanuel Macron has requested help from the European Union. And in Spain, officials have declared a national emergency as authorities in Madrid are warning the fire is beyond the capability of firefighters to extinguish. Meanwhile, back at home, a major incident has been declared by Police Scotland as emergency services continue to tackle a wildfire which has been burning in the Cairngorms National Park for 10 days. The force said it followed a significant change in weather conditions which has increased the risk of fire spreading towards the village of Nethy Bridge. All 650 residents there have been evacuated as a precaution. Almost 900 illegal migrants have crossed the English Channel in Andy Burnham's first week in Downing Street, as hundreds more are arriving today. It comes after 165 migrants arrived in the UK on board a so-called mega dinghy yesterday. Meanwhile, a new investigation in the Telegraph newspaper has revealed that Iran is smuggling secret agents into Britain by disguising them as migrants on small boats. Authorities have reportedly intercepted individuals linked to Tehran intelligence agencies with the help of drones and artificial intelligence. President Donald Trump has taken further swipes at journalists at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The event went ahead last night after it was cancelled 3 months ago because of a shooting. Trump criticised so-called fake news and accused some journalists in the room of having Trump derangement syndrome.
I'm gone. You're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on.
More than 100 firefighters are continuing to tackle a large fire at an industrial unit in Essex, and an ambulance service has declared a critical incident there. Fire crews were called to the blaze on Southend Road yesterday evening, with witnesses reporting a large explosion. The cause of the fire has not been confirmed yet, and it's not yet known if there have been any injuries. We'll keep you updated with that story. For now, those are the latest headlines. Let's get back to Dawn.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Bethany, and thank you so much for your company on a Saturday lunchtime. Remember, please do keep getting in touch. I will read as many out as possible. OK, for me and for many of you, the story that I really want to talk about is about the Southport killer, not using his name ever again, to be honest with you. Well, the families of those 3 little girls murdered in the Southport attack have expressed their sadness after the killer was transferred from prison to Broadmoor Secure Hospital, with the family's lawyer saying they fear he is manipulating the system, questioning whether this is a mental health crisis or another attempt to exploit the process. New details have also been revealed that he received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh Prison before he was removed to the cushy, in inverted commas, their words, not mine, secure hospital, which will allow the triple child killer to visit a multi-faith sanctuary at Broadmoor, as well as obviously much more comfortable conditions than a Category A prison, and also our much more expensive conditions for you and I, the great British taxpayer. A police and crime commentator, Danny Shaw, joins me now. Danny, thank you so much for joining us. This story, we're coming up to the 2nd anniversary when Bibi, Elsie and Alice lost their lives. The families found out about this move just days ago. They were kept in the dark about it. I just find the whole story completely shocking. And this offender, let's remind ourselves, has never been found criminally insane. He was declared fit to stand trial. Mentally, he's still the same as he was at trial. Why the hell is he being sent to Broadmoor?
Hi, Dawn. Well, we don't know all the details about why he's being sent to Broadmoor, other than the fact that doctors, psychiatrists, we don't know whether it's one psychiatrist who's examined him or more than one, have determined that it's not safe for him to be held in a prison and that he should be transferred. Now, I defer to Mark Fairhurst, who's the chairman of the Prison Officers Association, on this because he has more information. He suggests that we need to take seriously what the doctors have said, but at the same time, his view, from having spoken to prison staff at Belmarsh was that this individual, Axel Rudicabaner, could be managed in prison, and that he believes that he is manipulating the system. And those are strong words from Mark, who I've got a lot of respect for. And so I do think that is a real concern in this case. But I would just say this, though, Dawn. Just because a prisoner or an offender is fit to stand trial, it doesn't mean that their mental health stays exactly the same. Their mental health can deteriorate. Peter Sutcliffe was deemed fit to stand trial, the Yorkshire Ripper. His mental health deteriorated to such an extent that he was transferred to Broadmoor, where I think he spent the rest of his life. That does happen in some cases. It's also the case that some prisoners will be transferred to a mental health institution for a short period of time and then go back to prison when their health has stabilised. So I don't see this as like a sort of one-way trip. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Rudicabaner returns to a prison at some point.
But Danny, if we read in between the lines of this story, which we're all obviously going to do, if the reason that he has been transferred to Broadmoor is because he was a danger to the prison officers looking after him, and we all know they do an incredibly tough job. I mean, indeed, he was allowed a kettle in his room, and he threw boiling water over one of the prison officers looking after him. Now, what the hell he was doing with the kettle is another debate entirely, but he is a danger to the people that were looking after him in the prison. I mean, surely that's the reason he's been transferred to Broadmoor, nothing to do with his mental health.
No, that wouldn't be an adequate reason, Dawn, for him to be transferred. For any prisoner to be transferred, it wouldn't just be because a prison can't safely manage an individual. There are close supervision centres, there's confinement, there's segregation. There are very harsh conditions in which prisoners can be managed in prison if it's very difficult for them to do so. And in fact, Mark Furr has pointed out that there are such prisoners at Belmarsh already. So that's not a reason in and of itself. It's something to do with his mental health that has been assessed by doctors, whether he has hoodwinked them, whether he's manipulated them. Hopefully we will find out when he's transferred to Broadmoor, and there are further assessments there. I mean, obviously it's a different regime, but there is very close supervision and monitoring. There are very many staff. It's 24-hour CCTV, and there's mandatory treatment. So, he will have to abide by the terms of the treatment that is administered to him. So don't think it's sort of like an easy get out for him at all in that respect.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to get any violins of whatever size out for this piece of, well, I can't even use the word live on air. But if he does serve the rest of his sentence out in Belmarsh, in Broadmoor, it's going to cost the taxpayer £13 million. I mean, he's still only 19 years old. He's got 50 years left to serve. The way we're going about letting prisoners out, that could be even less than that, obviously. But he's still only 19. He could be 69 years old when he's let out.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd be very surprised if he isn't returned to prison. What usually happens is that prisoners who go to secure institutions spend some time there while their mental health is assessed and stabilised. That may be through drugs, it may be through other interventions, and then they go back to jail. It's pretty unusual for an inmate to spend the whole of their life or the whole of their sentence in a mental health facility. So I think we're sort of just jumping the gun a bit here. But I do agree that the concerns that he's manipulating the system are very real, given his background, given the fact that an inquiry found that it was likely that he'd been researching mental health defences and possible health explanations as a defence before his court hearing and so on. Given the fact that at that court hearing, when everyone was expecting a trial, he suddenly turned around and admitted his guilt. He is someone who is known to manipulate the system, known to take control. So that has to be a very, very real possibility in this case. But I think we have to, at the moment, trust the very experienced professionals at Broadmoor to assess him and manage him appropriately and return him to prison if his mental health stabilises.
Yeah, Danny, I mean, you've worked in this industry for a long time. You've commentated on many, many awful crimes. But the one thing I keep coming back to this is the fact that, these little girls, it's 2 years since they lost their lives at a dance class. I have to ask, we do seem to be at a situation in this country now where criminals are being given more consideration than the victims?
Well, it's heartbreaking. Coming up to the anniversary, and then they get the news that the perpetrator is being moved. And I would like to know what kind of communication is going on, what channels are open, how the families are hearing news about, what's going on with him in prison, because it's so important for victims that they hear these developments in the right way. These are always going to be difficult developments, and difficult news to impart. But it needs to be done with the greatest sensitivity. And from what I'm hearing, it doesn't feel like that happened in this case. And I think the authorities have to give urgent consideration to the way that they communicate these sorts of developments in the future.
Yeah, indeed. Danny, thank you so much for joining us. That's police and crime commentator Danny Shaw there. Please do let me know what you think on this story. I mean, the only names I'm ever going to use in connection with this story are those of BB, Elsie Dot and Alice. They're the names that are important, not his name. In any case, the Ministry of Justice have said the families of those murdered and injured in Southport will be in this country's heart forever, and our thoughts remain with them. The offender who carried out these vile crimes will rightly spend the entirety of his 52-year custodial sentence locked up and is unlikely to ever be released. Well, I actually hope they mean that one. OK, let's move on to the other big story of the day, and it's the fires. Firefighters are struggling to contain wildfires raging across Europe, which have forced 270,000 people to evacuate parts of France and Spain. Authorities ordered a total evacuation of Cape Ferret region in France as President Emmanuel Macron requested help from the European Union. Joining me now is Spanish meteorologist Martin Barreiro. Martin, thank you so much for joining us. Just bring us up to date on what's actually happening in Spain, because the fire is around Madrid now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you for your consent. The latest situation in Spain is really serious. The biggest wildfires are burning the regions of Madrid, Avila. Several fire fronts have merged into one large and fast-moving wildfire. Around 2,005 hectares have already burned. The evacuation are still in place. More than 6,000 people have been evacuated, confined, as a precaution that this wildfire. The government has declared the national emergency, and the European firefighting aircraft have been deployed to help. The fires have spread across the forests of Madrid and the Ávila province, affect towns like such as Villa del Prado. The weather conditions have improved slightly today, but firefighters remain concerned about possible change in the wind.
And Martin, how unusual are these fires, these weather conditions in Spain?
Very unusual. This year we have around 3 or 4 heat waves that really affect the terrain. We have a lot of low humidity, higher temperatures. It's possibly the year with the hottest year on record, and this wildfire is really non-precedent. It's really hard. Believe me.
And Martin, obviously it's the summer. We know, where you are is very hot and warm at the moment. But going forward, when are you expecting any rain?
Not in the coming days. This weekend is that they call the window of opportunity, because we are having a descent in the temperatures, but we are not expecting rain. We are expecting more heat the next week. We have very bad news about that, about weather news about that.
Well, Martin, thank you so much for joining us, and please stay safe, and hopefully things are sorted as soon as possible. It's Spanish meteorologist Martin Barreiro there. Thank you so much for joining me. Worrying times, and if you are off on holiday, and we always say this, don't we, to either the parts of Spain or France that are affected, please do check with your travel company and your airlines for advice as to what you should do. OK, now it is coming up to 20 minutes past 1, and it is time indeed for the Great British Giveaway, your chance to win our Golden Summer Celebration, which is £60,000 in tax-free cash and a gold bar worth £5,000. Here's all the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer Celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. And many of you are getting in touch about the horrific story about the Southport killer. And Jean is, like many of you, upset and saying it's utterly disgusting. Our country is too soft. 3 children lost their lives because of him. It's time we followed America and put murderers on death row. And it does make you wonder. I mean, I don't support the death sentence, but it does make you wonder. This man, not a man, is he? Shown no remorse whatsoever, and those families will carry this with them forever, as indeed will many of you, I know from your messages. Any case, there's lots more coming up on today's show. Andy Burnham promised a fresh start, but after a whirlwind of new policies, funding questions and cabinet rows, how is his first week as Prime Minister really going? We'll be having a discussion about that one, and please do join in, won't you? All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain is not just a geographical expression. We are a people bound together by history and culture that are distinctively British. Join me to celebrate our music, theatre, artworks and literature, which we can explore and enjoy together.
Everybody's welcome.
Sunday with Michael Portillo. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, welcome back. And Debbie, you are so right. Debbie has got in touch about the Southport story. Debbie says, I think the word you're looking for, Dawn, is monster. He is definitely not a man. Debbie, I could not agree with you more. Keep them coming in. gbnews.com/your say. OK, we're going to move on because we've got a new Prime Minister. You might not have noticed. No one's really talked about it that much. Andy Burnham hosted his first meeting at Heron House in Manchester city centre in his bid to get power out of Westminster into Manchester. The Prime Minister is ending his first week as Prime Minister by working out of Manchester in the new number 10 for the North, although as people living in the North have pointed out, is really basically the North Midlands, isn't it? I'm not going to go down that road. The PM spent his week making a series of spending announcements, mostly aimed at tackling the cost of living, including capping bus fares. But will his promises stack up or even add up? I'm joined by former Labour MP Graham Jones. Always good to chat to him. Graham, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. OK, marks out of 10. If you're a school teacher, marks out of 10 on young Master and his first week.
Well, I wasn't a Keir Starmer supporter. I would have given him -10. But for Andy, I mean, he's got a bit. And thank you, Dawn, for the kind words. I'd give him probably 9 or 10. I think he's started really well because he's human. He's speaking to people's, bread and butter issues, and he's only had a week and he's had a lot on. So I mean, I don't know what more he could do, and he's also been very engaging. So I mean, I'd give him a 9 or a 10. I'm quite pleased, and I'm a critic of the Labour Party.
Well, indeed. Graham, the big divisive thing seems, we're looking at the pictures now of number 10 North, or number 10 North Midlands, as people that live in the proper North would have it. This seems to be the dividing thing here. It's like, a lot of people think, right, OK, great, we need to get out of the Westminster bubble and get devolved power back around the country, and certainly the North West, which has been neglected, etc., etc. But others, including many Labour MPs from sort of like, the South East and the South West and the North East, are going, well, hold on, this is actually quite divisive. What about us? How divisive is this number 10 North issue, do you think?
I think it's a bit of a Westminster story, if I'm being honest, and you were quite right then to say that clearly the north of England, it voted against Labour in 2019. It voted against Johnson in the Conservative government in 2024. They felt neglected for a long time. And I would also just gently point out to Dawn that, when the BBC was moved out to London, we had lots of fat cat executives and London people complaining on their fat salaries that they didn't want fish and chips. They weren't moving to the north. They couldn't go to the theatre, they couldn't have their, dinner parties, etc., and all the nice things in life that they get in London, the opera, etc. They were going to miss out on those moving to Manchester, as though it was some, backward, uncouth. And I think the move of the BBC to Salford exposed that. And I was seeing the same again, people in London complaining they can't go to the opera, can't go to the theatre, on the fabulous salaries that they get, and they don't want to move up north. Well, I think Andy's made a statement that, we are one country. The north does matter. And number 10 North, I think, is very, very interesting and very positive. And at last, somebody's recognising, the gap between the provinces, because we include the south, west, and also the parts, Kent, etc. But if this is Manchesterism, Dawn, then I've speak to people in Kent, Labour Party people, and they feel that if this is what Manchester is, they're all for it because they feel excluded from London as well.
I love Manchester. The husband's family are all in Manchester, so it's a city I've been to many, many times. But we are also told, Graham, that it's not going to cost the taxpayer any more money, which isn't strictly true, is it? As in the first week that we have Number 10 North, we have the Prime Minister spending £30,000 on the private prime ministerial jet to get him back from Glasgow to Manchester. Now, it's a 3-hour train journey. It doesn't really need to do that, did he? So already the costs are racking up, if we're honest.
I'm not so sure that that's really an issue. I think that the amount of money that's been poured into central London, hundreds of billions, trillions, whatever, and the lack of any funding that's gone in the north, there needs to be a footprint. And I do think, Dawn, that some of these people, if they did eat fish and chips, and I say that in a mercurial perspective, from a mercurial perspective, it might do them some good, to see that there are real people living real lives and how those real lives are impacted by government policy. So I think it's wonderful what Andy's done, because we've got to represent the whole of the country. You've got to see the other side of the tracks, metaphorically. And, the people who can't go to the opera in the morning about it, well, I really don't have much sympathy, Dawn. I have zero sympathy. It is about running the country, and I think Andy's done fantastic in bringing forward a Number 10 North. I really do. I think it's just like the BBC. People need to wake up and live in the real world.
OK, Graham, thank you so much for talking to us today. A fully paid-up fan of Andy Burnham there, and Number 10 in the North. That's former Labour MP Graham Jones. Thank you very much, Graham, for joining us.
Thank you, Dawn.
Let us know what you think as well, obviously, especially if you live in the North West, if you live in Manchester. Let us know. gbnews.com/your say is a way to get involved. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show. But first, it's time for the news headlines with, the one and only Bethany Elty.
Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. More than 220,000 people in France and Spain have been told to leave their homes as severe wildfires continue to spread. The French government has deployed the army to tackle the flames, which are approaching Bordeaux. And Spain has declared a national emergency as officials in Madrid say the fire is beyond the capacity of the fire crews. Meanwhile, Police Scotland have declared a major incident as emergency services continue to tackle a wildfire which has been burning in the Cairngorms National Park for 10 days. Residents in Nethybridge have been evacuated as a precaution. More than 2 million people will be subject to a hosepipe ban imposed by South East Water from today, affecting Sussex, Surrey, Hampshire and Berkshire. It comes after other bans across the UK have already come into force this week, affecting 23 million people in total. Almost 900 migrants have crossed the English Channel in Andy Burnham's first week in Downing Street, and hundreds more are arriving today. It comes as the Telegraph newspaper reports Iran is smuggling secret agents into Britain by disguising them as migrants on small boats. Those are your latest headlines. I'll have a full roundup for you at 2 o'clock.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Thank you very much, Bethany. And thank you all so much for your comments as well. Lots of you getting in touch about the Number 10 in the North versus Number 10 in the South. And Ted says, the whole country is represented by you numpty. They are called MPs. A country that does not have a centre of power is not a country. Ted? Strong words. I love it. Keep them coming in. gbnews.com/your say. Make like Ted and have your say. I read as many out as I possibly can. Now, there's lots more coming up on today's show. Elon Musk believes Britain will erupt into civil war in years to come, warning mass migration will bring a national reckoning. Is he right, though? We've got a real treat for you because we're talking to his dad to find out what he makes about his son's utterings. Well, that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Some rain around today, particularly across the north, but across the south, lots of sunshine and feeling very warm, if not quite hot in the sunshine at times. Now the reason for this rain, it's all due to this cold front slowly sinking its way southwards. Quite a few isobars on the chart as well, so it's quite a blustery start to the day. Winds gradually easing through the course of the afternoon. Very cloudy across much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Some spells of rain, if not some showers across Scotland. But to the south of this, a dry day ahead, much lighter winds, feeling very warm in that sunshine. Highs reaching widely between 26 to 29 degrees Celsius. They're a little bit fresher under the cloud. Highs here reaching into the high teens. Now to finish off the day, a mostly cloudy end across Scotland, a few showers skirting around, particularly around coastal areas. Perhaps a little bit of brightness to end the day across Aberdeenshire. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, plenty of cloud here and some spells of rain at times. Some rain just gradually starting to push into northwest Wales, but otherwise across much of the south and southeast, it should be a dry end to the day with some late evening sunshine. Now we'll see some showers ease away for a time and then eventually thicker cloud and more rain starting to push in from the west. This could turn a little bit heavy across the hills of Scotland and northern parts of England. Lots more cloud pushing into parts of the south and southeast overnight as well. And with the cloud and rain, that should hold temperatures up most towns and cities in the mid to high teens. Now on Sunday for many of us, quite the change. Plenty of cloud around, some spells of rain clearing their way eastwards and then plenty of showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. We will see some splashes of rain across parts of the south, but fairly hit and miss showers, so still very dry across these areas. Feeling much fresher, not quite as warm for many areas, highs reaching 25 degrees.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Needham, just having a chat with the team behind me. Small but perfectly formed, to be honest. Well, most of them are perfectly formed, some not so good, you know what I mean? Any case, lots of you are getting in touch. And Phil has said, talking about Andy Burnham, number 10 North or North Midlands, as many of you pointed out. I made that point. I do know where the North is. Phil has said, so when Rishi Sunak flew to the North East by helicopter, Labour weren't not happy and made a fuss about that, but it's OK to Burnham to travel by jet at the cost of 30 grand. And blah, 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 where are you? And Julie says, I think Burnham is divisive. It's not just about London and Manchester. And Julie, you're not alone in thinking that one, because many Labour MPs, and there's lots of them, remember, representing all parts of the country, are saying, well, hold on a minute, yeah, it's great, we are spreading the love out, but what about us? We're feeling a bit neglected. I mean, it's in particular the North East and the South West seem to be having a bit of a problem. OK, keep them coming in, though. gbnews.com/your say. Now, just a little package I want to play you now, because it is a lovely day out there. The sun's shining, it's warm in most of the country. If you're up north, it might not be, sorry. Let's get Andy Burnham on that one, shall we? In any case, it's a time of the year when many people are indeed swimming in the sea and rivers to cool off, but the tragic side to this is an uptick in drownings. Well, today is Global Drowning Prevention Day, and we're bringing you all the tips that you need to stay safe in the water this summer. National reporter Sophie Reefer has spoke to a mum turned campaigner about the loss of her son, Dylan. It's a tragic story, but a very important point. Please have a listen.
I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I didn't teach you. I'm sorry I didn't know.
In 2011, Becky's 13-year-old son, Dylan, went swimming with some friends at a local quarry. But he never made it home.
You think that if you can swim, then you can swim anywhere, but that's just not the case. Open water is so much different to a swimming pool, and unfortunately I'd never taught Dylan that. I'd never taught Dylan about the dangers in and around open water. I'd never taught him about cold water shock. He didn't know. He didn't go out that day to die. He went out for a bit of fun. I wish as a mum I was better educated to be able to educate him, because I know that had he known, he wouldn't have took the risk that day.
Now, Becky has dedicated her life to doing it for Dylan, a campaign which educates people about the dangers of open water swimming.
Water safety isn't about putting a pair of pyjamas on and jumping into a nice, warm, sanitised swimming pool and picking up a rubber brick from the bottom of the pool, which is what it was when I was at school, and I don't think it's moved on very much, to be quite honest. Your children need to be educated, and if I could give any parent any piece of advice, it would be to please, please, please educate yourself so that you can educate your children, then at least they can make an educated choice.
Every summer, families around the UK are left heartbroken by drowning-related tragedies. Whether it be the sea, a reservoir or a quarry, open water proves fatal to so many every year.
If you find yourself in difficulty, what we recommend people to do is to float to live. Try and lie on your back with your head tilted back, your ears submerged. Use your arms and legs just to steady yourself, and just try and get used to the water temperature, steady your breathing. And once you've become accustomed to that temperature and your breathing has normalised, you can either shout for help or swim to safety.
Jim worked with Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue for more than 30 years. And now, given the frequent heat waves we've been experiencing this summer, the advice from Jim and Water Safety England is increasingly important. Here's what they say you should do if you see someone struggling in the water.
Phone, float, throw. Phone 999 and ask for the fire service if you're inland. Ask for the Coast Guard if you're at the seaside. And then float. So tell the person to float on the back, just as we described, and float to live. And then the final thing is throw. If you can throw them something that floats, like a football or a rugby ball, or any public rescue equipment that you might have nearby, but phone, float, throw.
Now, with the recent spate of drownings and more hot weather to come, water safety and education is more critical than ever before. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Thank you very much, Sophie. A very important report there. And Sharon Davis, obviously Olympic swimmer, has said, please keep warning your kids of the danger of open water, cold water shock, hidden currents, hidden obstacles under the surface, especially those fearless lads who jump in first. And listen to Sharon Davis. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to swimming. Okay, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show. The Game Fair, a highlight of the rural calendar, is taking place today, and we are on the scene for the annual celebration of the Great British Countryside. Doogie Beattie, our very own country gentleman this afternoon, is there live for us. But before we go to the British countryside, if you want somewhere maybe slightly hotter and sunnier, here is a full forecast for those top European holiday destinations for you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
A few showers possible over parts of northern and eastern Italy during the course of the weekend. There's been quite a lot of showers recently in northern Turkey. They are fading for Sunday. Much of the south of Turkey dry and sunny, along with most of Greece on Sunday as well. Southern Italy still hot and sunny as well, but further north there is the potential for some big thundery showers. Could even see one or two in Mallorca. Most of Spain and Portugal dry and sunny. Sunny spells for Madeira and the Canaries. Lots more sunshine to come into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Should James Bond stay white and male?
Yes, I think that's probably the best course of action. If you think about it, Amazon have taken over Bond about a year ago, and they're a big company, aren't they? And this is a risk, isn't it? They don't want to be seen to cast their first James Bond in anything other than the most popular Bond to everybody. So if you're a casting director, like Debbie McWilliams has said, the previous one, I suppose it'd be who would be the most popular? What's the safest thing to do? So I think, in other iterations, there's nothing to say it couldn't be anything other than white, but this is the first one back, so I think it will be the safe thing to do, and it has to be a man. That's non-negotiable. I think audiences would instantly be complaining, and they want as little controversy going into this new film as they can.
The People's Channel. Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
With the football, a row has erupted. A racism row again, this time at a Kent secondary school after pupils' children were allegedly told to scrub painted England flags from their arms because, you've guessed it, they were deemed as racist. Is this the woke flag monitors simply spoiling everybody's fun?
Now, look, if we are going to police flags, that's clearly a problem. I think there are lots of people who feel negatively towards the England flag because of what it's represented in the past, and that's a real shame. But it's nice to see that new generations, I'm the son of immigrants, and I don't feel that. I haven't inherited that, and that's really positive. Look, so we should be able to, especially during a football match, fly that flag with pride and enjoy it.
I know that part of the world a little bit. I travelled to Broadstairs, Thanet, Sandwich. You see the Union flag, and particularly the England flag, everywhere.
Yes.
Even under normal circumstances, you see the England flag being proudly flown. So this is completely insane.
The People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
There was a Ryanair flight from Thessaloniki in Greece, and a part of the plane hit the window and pulled it out. And so this man, a 61-year-old Serbian man, was sucked out of the window. And his wife, she says that she was desperately holding onto his legs to keep him inside the plane for 5 minutes. Wow. It was horrendous. Apparently the aircraft did eventually land normally and passengers were safe and a replacement airline was sent. He was taken to hospital with friction burns. It was a part of the propeller had come loose from the engine and it had hit the window, and that's what had taken the window out. So it wasn't as though it was thought to be loose in the first place. But can you imagine?
No.
I mean,
don't want to.
Unbelievable.
I'm not
a good flyer,
I have to admit.
This terrifies me.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, welcome back to The Weekend with me, Dawn Neeson, and thank you for your company this afternoon. Now, Elon Musk has given an interview where he doubled down on claims that civil war will erupt in Britain in the coming decade. The owner of X claims that a reckoning is likely due to the rapidly growing number of people whose views are anti-ethical to Western beliefs. So let's talk now, a real treat for you, to Elon Musk's dad, Errol Musk. Mr. Musk, thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of your son's comments?
It's a pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
OK, and what do you make of your son's comments about civil war in the United Kingdom?
Well, it's hard not to agree with him. In looking at the whole situation, I must agree with Elon. It's common sense, what he's saying. It's not... It's simply common sense. What has happened in England, no king in the history of England would have allowed what is happening in England today. No king would have allowed that. And today we have a situation where, generally speaking, the English men in your country seem to be suffering from something we might call in South Africa flat ballitis. They don't seem to be concerned or they are being brainwashed into accepting a situation that they shouldn't be accepting.
And why do you think that is, Mr. Musk?
Well, I don't know. England has always been the home of Lionheart and Braveheart and all that sort of stuff. But the Englishmen seem to have lost their mojo or whatever it is. The very people that they're allowing into the country come from places that would not allow that to happen in their country. They would not allow it. They come from places that would not allow the law that allows them to come into England. And they also come from countries and represent cultures which are, as Elon points out, completely different to what the Englishman views as a culture and personal feelings and beliefs. So obviously, this is going to result in many clashes. I read a couple of days ago of a woman, a very pretty girl, who was murdered by her parents because she wouldn't agree to an arranged marriage. I believe it was in England. At any rate, it was somewhere in Europe, but I think it was England. This is insane. It's completely contrary to anything that people in England have believed for 1,000 years.
Mm.
And now you're allowing these people in numbers. It makes no sense at all.
Mm.
The vast people, the electorate, I don't believe supports your government. Your government operates on its own.
And I have to say that we are talking to you now in South Africa. Obviously, your son lives in America. You know, a critic would say, well, what business is it of either of yours?
Well, you know, my mom was born in England. Both my grandfathers were born in England. Elon's grandparents on his mother's side were born in England. So we all, you know, feel pretty much English, you know. I mean, so do the people in Australia and Canada. And, you know, England has done quite a good job in spreading its, you know, tentacles around the world. We all feel, you know, English. I mean, it's not something that you own on your own over there. You know, it's something that you've spread across the world.
Mm. And I have to ask you, where do you think this is going to end if the United Kingdom continues down the path that we are going on now? We've seen many more hundreds of young men come across in the boats across the Channel over the last few days. If we continue down this road, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, you know, as Elon has pointed it out, no king in the history of England would have allowed what is happening. It's an invasion. And so no king that ever ruled England in the history that we can go back many years, couple of thousand years maybe, or at least 1,500 years, would have allowed this. They would not have allowed this. So, you know, we hear rumors that your king now, King Charles, is actually a Muslim. Now, is that, we don't know. He's spoken up in favor of the Muslim beliefs, which is strange for us to hear. And so something really odd is going on in your country, something that the people in general do not agree with. Unfortunately, the men seem to have developed, as I said somewhat jokingly earlier, a disease called flatballitis. So until they can come right and say, wait, no, we can't do this anymore, then it's going to go on. Mm. And I have had people who come here from England, very nice people actually, who came from the blood brothers of Muslim England to come and visit me here in South Africa. They flew out last year, and they were from the blood brothers of Muslim England. And they told me straight, they intend that in England will become a Muslim country.
Okay, can I just interrupt, Mr. Moss, just quickly? Your son, when he was giving this interview to the magazine, was asked by the journalist whether he was racist. There are some listening today to what you are saying that maybe would accuse you of the same thing. What would you say to them?
Well, you know, racist is a word that was conjured up some time ago. I don't really know what it means. I personally believe every group of people in the world must views their own group as better than the other groups. I've just been in Czechoslovakia, or rather the Czech Republic. I spent 2 weeks in the Czech Republic, and then I went on to Austria, and I discovered that the Czech people do not like the Austrian people very much. In fact, they speak very harshly about what they think of the Austrian people. And when I go to the Austrian side, the Austrian people tell me when I've been in the Czech Republic, oh, you've been with a bunch of sort of retards in Czech Republic. So immediately I come to the conclusion, well, the Czechs and the Austrians don't like each other. They hate each other. So are they racist? I don't know. It's a word that was conjured up some recently. It's not a word that existed in the English language until quite recently. So if you mean, do I support my own people? Yes. If it means, do I put my own people's interests ahead of other? Yes. If that's called racism, then, well, yeah, I'm right in there, yeah.
OK, thank you so much for your time. Very, very strong opinion from you there. That is Elon Musk's father, Errol Musk. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your time. Very strong opinions there, and obviously King Charles would say he's defender of all faiths in this country. But as always, please let me know what you think, won't you? OK, I'm Dawn Lees from GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show, so don't you dare move a muscle. But obviously it's important because it's the weather, it's the British summertime, and it should be lovely outside where you are. Shall we find out exactly what's going on? Here's the weather for you.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A bit of a change ahead for some of us. We're going to see a few more spells of rain, not feeling quite as warm into tomorrow either for some of us. We've also had some rain this afternoon. That's mostly where we see this cold front sinking its way southwards. Fair few isobars on the chart as well, so a bit breezier at times across the north. Well, we'll see that rain sinking south. It will continue to bring some light outbreaks across central areas of England and Wales, and a few showers starting to creep in across parts of the south. Another band of heavy rain pushes in from the west as well. It could be quite heavy across the hills of Scotland first thing on Sunday morning. And with the cloudier skies, that means temperatures won't drop too low, mostly in the mid to high teens. So to start on Sunday, it's going to be rather unsettled across Scotland. Quite a wet start and quite windy across some coastal areas as well. And still, some of this rain could be a little bit heavy across the hills. Very similar across Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. Most of the rain will have cleared, but we've got plenty of cloud and scattered showers following on behind. And a similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Now, across much of the south and southeast, they will see some splashes of rain as we head through tomorrow, but very light outbreaks and very hit and miss showers, so some areas will still remain dry. But across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, and at times across the Midlands, we will see some showers which could turn a little heavy. But any showers we do see across the south will have fizzled away by the afternoon, so more sunnier spells to develop here. But notice a change in temperatures, highs only reaching around 25 degrees Celsius, so still warm and pleasant, but a little bit fresher compared to what we've had this afternoon, and certainly feeling that bit cooler across northern areas of the UK. Some showers still lingering across the evening before eventually fading away. Plenty of clear skies across Scotland actually to finish off the day, so a cooler night here. And then sunshine will build back through into next week along with the higher temperatures.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard.
This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock on Saturday the 25th of July and this is the weekend on GB News. Amazing show so far. Let's see what we can do in the last hour, shall we? Iran is accused of sending suspected agents into Britain by small boat as nearly 900 migrants crossed the Channel during Andy Burnham's first week in number 10, with hundreds more arriving today. Just how many foreign operatives could be living secret lives in the United Kingdom, though? And Europe burns. I mean, you can see on your screens there shocking pictures. Forest fires ravaging parts of France and Spain, with countless British holidaymakers forced to flee. And the blaze in Scotland's Cairngorms National Park continues for a 10th day, with hundreds evacuated there as well. And the Southport killer received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh Prison before he was moved to a cushy, in inverted commas, secure hospital. Is he manipulating the system? His victims' parents think so. And is net zero pushing Britain towards the brink? A leaked report warns Labour's green energy drive could trigger blackouts and send household bills soaring. And the fair game, a highlight of the rural calendar, is taking place today. We're on the scene for the annual celebration of the great British countryside.
Yes, thousands are here enjoying the sunshine at Wrigley Hall. They're here to see countryside sports at their best. Right now, it's the Gun Dogs in the ring. We'll be live throughout the programme.
And that's a very dapper Doogie there with that report for us. I'm Dawn Neeson and this is The Weekend. Now, lots and lots of you have been getting in touch about the interview we did in the previous hour with Elon Musk's father about Elon Musk's warning that Britain is facing a civil war if we carry on with the migration situation in this country. Now, I just want to say that Mr. Musk's opinion was very, very strong, and he may have said some comments that may have upset some of you. So I would just like to apologise if that is the case. I mean, obviously, GB News is all about giving people the right to their own opinion. So that, and they were his strong opinions, and that is exactly what they are. But many of you are agreeing with him. So, as I said, this show is all about you, and indeed some very strong opinions from all corners. So please let me know your thoughts on all we're talking about today at gbnews.com/yoursay, or indeed scan that QR code. We've got another amazing hour coming up for you. I've got no idea where we're going, to be honest with you, but it is going to be a bit of a ride. So please do buckle up and stay with me. And it includes Doogie Beattie in a flat cap. I mean, what's not to like? Okay, now before we do all that though, let's get the news headlines with Bethany Elsey.
Good
Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB Newsroom at 3 minutes past 2. More than 220,000 people in France and Spain have been told to leave their homes as severe wildfires continue to spread. The French government has deployed the army to tackle the flames, which are approaching Bordeaux, including the airport there. President Emmanuel Macron has requested the help of the European Union. And in Spain, officials have declared a national emergency as authorities in Madrid are warning the fire is beyond the capacity of firefighters to extinguish. Meanwhile, back at home, a major incident has been declared by Police Scotland as emergency services continue to tackle a wildfire which has been burning in the Cairngorms National Park for 10 days. The force said it followed a significant change in weather conditions which has increased the risk of fire spreading towards the village of Nethy Bridge. All 650 residents there have been evacuated as a precaution to allow emergency services to continue to tackle the flames. In other news, almost 900 illegal migrants have crossed the English Channel in Andy Burnham's first week in Downing Street, and hundreds more are arriving today. It comes after 165 migrants arrived in the UK on board a so-called mega dinghy yesterday. Meanwhile, a new investigation in the Telegraph newspaper has revealed that Iran is smuggling secret agents into Britain by disguising them as migrants on small boats. Authorities have reportedly intercepted individuals linked to Tehran intelligence agencies with the help of drones and AI. US President Donald Trump has taken swipes at journalists at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The event went ahead last night after it was cancelled 3 months ago because of a shooting. Trump criticised so-called fake news and accused some journalists in the room of having Trump derangement syndrome.
When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on.
More than 100 firefighters tackled a large fire at an industrial unit in Essex yesterday. Fire crews were called to the blaze on Southend Road in the evening, with witnesses reporting a large explosion. 3 fire engines and 2 officer cars used to respond to the incident were destroyed. 20 firefighters were taken to hospital. 4 of them were treated for minor injuries, and the rest were checked over for issues including hear loss. All, though, have since been discharged from hospital. A formal investigation into the cause, which is currently unknown, has been launched. You're up to date for now. I'll be back with more in half an hour.
Thank you very much, Bethany, and thank you for your comments and your company this afternoon. It has, as I said, been an absolute rollercoaster, and I've never had so many comments as we have had in the last 10 minutes or so, so please do keep them coming in. Now, we're on our final hour together. Yes, I'm missing you already, so let's get cracking, shall we? Full of shocking stories today, this one in particular. It's been revealed that Iran is sending covert operatives into the UK by posing as channel crossing migrants. Now, we all thought this might be the case, but today it's been confirmed. Smuggling gangs told today's Telegraph newspaper that Tehran facilitated the journey to Britain for migrants in Calais in exchange for a favour to be carried out after they'd settled in the UK. I dread to think what that favour actually is. This comes as nearly 900 migrants crossed the Channel during Andy Burnham's first week in number 10, with hundreds more arriving today. Joining me now is former head of security, Iran International, Roger Macmillan. Roger, I would say it's a shocking story. I mean, it is, but many of us aren't that surprised that some of these young men coming over with no documents on them may be undercover operatives who intend us no goodness whatsoever. What do you make of this story?
So, first of all, the Iranian smuggling infrastructure into Europe is not new. It's been going on for decades. It started from movement of weapons, cash and personnel to the regional proxies. But what we've seen perhaps in the last few years is expanded out to include moving people into the UK. Now, I wouldn't say I think it's a bit alarmist to say that these are covert trained operators coming in. It's more than likely that these people are being it's a transactional affair yet again. So people are being offered a cheaper or faster crossing in terms for, as you said there, for a favour in the future. Whatever that favour is, who knows? And we're talking about debt. Is a loyalty here is the lever for them.
I mean, according to the report today, I mean, some human trafficking routes are literally owned by the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who we know are responsible for so much terrorism around the world.
This is specifically Unit A700, who are the smuggling arm and have previously been sanctioned, but of course are now designated as of last week under the state threats legislation. But again, this is not a spy smuggling operation in the conventional sense. The people crossing by small boats are overwhelmingly going to be low-level, untrained, economically coerced, and not highly trained intelligence assets. There's no way you're going to do that. People coming in who are trained intelligence assets as covert operators will no doubt come in through legal migration, through if Tehran wants to train or useful people inside the UK, they're going to use the skilled worker visa route, student routes, general travel. These are higher yield opportunities than your heavily monitored channel migration. And this is it's a very visible, but it's a low value end of a much larger and indeed less visible problem.
Is there any way, I appreciate what you're saying, that this is a tiny part of a big problem with Iran, but is there any way of actually stopping this?
I think stopping it, well, why are people coming to the UK in the first place from Iran? Well, they are fleeing one of the most brutal regimes on this earth. They're fleeing repression. They are fleeing the fact that what has not been reported heavily is every day in Iran there are further executions for people who took part in the protests earlier this year and more. Again, this is also. These people are fleeing for their lives, and they're going to take a chance between almost certain death in Iran at the behest of the call of the Iranian government, or they're going to risk the chance of getting to the UK for a better life in the interim. So I don't think we've got to be careful not to conflate the two issues and have people who are genuinely fleeing for their lives to people who are perhaps being coerced or being economically controlled by the IRGC for this. And that's really important to note.
No, of course, that's a very fair point. And we do know that the Iranian regime has killed so many thousands of its own people in the most horrific ways possible. We've interviewed many people on this programme who have fled that regime, and the stories that come out there are awful. But, I mean, we also read that more than 20 potentially lethal Iran-backed plots over the past 12 months in this country. Now, that's just in 1 year. How much of a threat is Iran to us?
The 20 threats is not just last year. It's an ongoing problem, and certainly from my time at Iran International Television, there were numerous plots against Iranians and the Jewish community in the UK, and it's not going to go away, I'm afraid, until there is a proper change of regime in Iran. And that's the real fact. But a lot of this has been set against the backdrop of the last fortnight's escalation. First of all, there was the Royal Assent and then the designation under the National Security State Threats Act of the IRGC. Followed by that was the Andy Burnham's confirmation that RAF Fairford was going to be used as a legitimate, to support the US bombing campaign in Iran. But of course, then the Iranians responded by saying, well, that's now a legitimate target. So again, this is all part of the narrative set to seed fear and of sabotage, etc. that's going to happen in the UK.
It's worrying times indeed. Roger, thank you so much for joining us. That's former Head of Security, Iran International, Roger McMillian there for you. And it's a very worrying story, but if you've heard from Roger there, I mean, the boats, it's a tiny part of it, but the fact that it is a part of it is still worrying. We do have a right to be worried about who is coming over illegally in those boats. OK, now a Home Office spokesperson has said our first priority is national security. There are stringent security checks for small boat arrivals. Those identified as a threat will be detained immediately, and we'll do everything in our power to remove them at the earliest opportunity. On top of these robust processes, we have fast-tracked a change in the law to outlaw support for the IRGC, equipping the police and intelligence service with more powers to disrupt those working on their behalf and making it easier to prosecute them. OK, as always, let me know what you think about that story. How safe do you feel? gbnews.com/your say. Now, let's move on to the other big story, front page of some of your newspapers today, about the wildfires in Europe and indeed in Scotland as well. Evacuations and smoke advisories have continued after police in Scotland declared a major incident as emergency services battle a wildfire in the Cairngorms National Park. This comes as wildfires are continuing to rage across Europe, with more than 220,000 people evacuated from holiday-making areas of France and Spain. So let's talk now to the Scottish Conservatives Highlands and Islands region, Tim Eagle. Tim, very good for joining. Thank you so much for joining us. Very good to see you. Now, the situation in the Cairngorms has been going on for over a week now. Can you tell us more on what's actually happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's been devastating, actually. I mean, I was actually driving up the A9, which is a major road, and saw the fire on the day that it started. And of course, we always hope these fires go out very quickly. And this is on the back, of course, of last year, the largest wildfire in the UK in the Java Moor. So this is really, really concerning. And what's happened is that there just has been a lack of communication, a lack of urgency, I think, from the Scottish government initially, and local people were very worried. And that eventually I ended up having to write myself to the Cabinet Secretary and saying, look, I'm getting people in touch with me, phoning me, emailing me, don't know what's going on, and you're not providing any information. And he's been providing information since, but actually what I think we've seen, and I think what a lot of local people are saying, is a lack of the Scottish government willing to declare that major emergency and call in the additional support it needed.
And we're seeing pictures on our screens now, and it looks like this fire is remarkably close to people's homes.
Well, it is. And last night was actually almost a disaster because Nethy Bridge, at 6 o'clock, we had the Scottish Government, the Cabinet Secretary, saying there was no major incident. At 9 o'clock, Police Scotland suddenly declared a major incident. And then you had the whole entire community of Nethy Bridge being evacuated. Now, you've had more evacuations again this morning. And this, remember, all stems from, in the first 2 days, there was no aerial support provided, despite the fact that for months now, several parties, including ourselves, have been leading the charge on trying to get the Scottish Government to recognise that Scotland needs a much more resilient wildfire strategy, including key aerial support.
Tim, why is there such a problem with tackling this issue? I mean, you know, if all the warnings we're hearing are accurate, this situation is only going to get worse throughout the coming years. So why is there such a problem with tackling it?
I just don't think the Scottish Government are willing to take it seriously enough. And I think that's the truth. And that's certainly what you're seeing across social media today. Now, after the Java Moor wildfire last year, we all said, look, come on, we've got to take this more seriously. We need a dedicated wildfire response unit in Scotland. Now, that doesn't mean we need a fleet of 10 aircraft on the, the runway at Aberdeen Airport. But what it does mean is that when these incidences occur, we can get support in the right location very, very quickly. Because once fires take hold on some of our heather hills, they can go on for a long time. Now, there's two key things I'd want to mention. The first is, of course, people will say, oh, it's all climate change. Scotland has fundamentally changed its land management practices, which is giving a much bigger fuel load on our hills. So to say it's all climate change is firstly wrong. And the second thing is there has been a lack of information getting out. I've called for the Scottish Parliament to be recalled next week because there are clear questions. There's long-term questions we need to ask. But first of all, there's immediate questions we need to ask about where this fire is and have the people on the ground got the resources they need.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Let's hope questions that you get answers to. Tim, thank you so much for joining me. That's Scottish Conservatives Highlands and Islands region, Tim Eagle there. Worrying times, and once again we are left with the fact that ordinary people have been evacuated from their homes. You saw how close it was to that house there. I mean, it's like, but we're still not getting the answers we want, are we? Okay, now it is coming up to 17 minutes past 2 already, and it is time for the Great British Giveaway and your chance to win big. Our Golden Summer celebration at £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar worth over £5,000. Here's how you win it.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you can win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't Don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer Celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show. The Southport killer, whose name I will never use, received visits from a Muslim imam at Belmarsh Prison before he was moved to a cushy, secure hospital. Is he manipulating the system, though? The parents of his 3 little girl victims think that's the case. All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you for your company this Saturday afternoon. As always, really appreciate it. Now, the story that I keep coming back to, because it just constantly upsets me, but I just think, well, OK, the families of the children murdered in the Southport attack have expressed their sadness after the killer was transferred from prison to Broadmoor Secure Hospital, with their lawyer saying they fear he's manipulating the system, questioning whether this is a mental health crisis or another attempt to exploit the processes. New details have revealed that he received visits from a Muslim an imam at Belmarsh Prison before the move was made to Broadmoor Secure Hospital, which will now allow him to visit a multi-faith sanctuary at that hospital. OK, let's talk now to consultant psychiatrist Dr Raj Prasad about this story. Dr Raj, thank you so much for joining us today. The front page of The Sun, I'm going to hold it up because this is what the story is, how it's being illustrated in the papers today. Killer cons his way to a cushy life, and this is fury of the parents of his three victims, Bibi, Elsie Dot and Alice. What do you make of this story?
Well, this description of the press as Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital, and working as a consultant psychiatrist, I have been in Broadmoor Hospital. I think to describe it as cushy is a little bit extreme. What I would say is the conditions in Broadmoor Hospital are definitely better than the conditions in Belmarsh. So I think the suspicion of the press and of the family and the family's lawyer is that this patient isn't really mentally ill. He's just conned the system and manipulated it and seduced it into a transfer in order to get better conditions. And there is some evidence that he's got a long history of manipulating mental health services, and the inquiry into the Southport tragedy did uncover evidence of his attempt to manipulate the system. However, what I would say is that it's important to understand at the heart of psychiatry, there's a fundamental problem, which is there is no blood test for mental illness. There is no X-ray, there is no brain scan. So in order to make a proper assessment or diagnosis, you're left with a very primitive thing, which is basically a conversation between a patient and a doctor. And if you've got a devious and smart patient who knows the system, and this gentleman has been in the system for a while before this tragedy occurred, then it is possible that they know the system and therefore know how to manipulate it. But you've got to have really either a doctor who's not very good or an overwhelmed doctor. And certainly the evidence was that the system, and he was in the system, and the system discharged him only 3 months before this tragedy occurred, saying basically he wasn't dangerous. So the system has failed at multiple times, the mental health system. Interestingly enough, if you're going to manipulate the system, the best time to do it is in court before you're sentenced and while you're tried. That is the moment where you should try to manipulate the system if you are being devious into the idea that you're insane and therefore not responsible. Now, he didn't do that. And I think that tells us that the court was alive to his manipulation, and he was smart enough to realize he wouldn't get away with it. But he realizes that the NHS and the mental health system is overwhelmed, is underperforming dramatically, just like maternity services are in the NHS, is populated by stressed, undertrained, overwhelmed people, and that is why possibly he's able to manipulate it.
From what we know of this case and what we know of this creature's history, as you say, has been involved in the system, has manipulated the system since he was a teenager, what would your diagnosis be?
Well, it's a very good question. And the press, of course, and journalists and so on like to use the word evil. OK, and we wheel out this word when you've got an inexplicably terrible thing that's happened, because even though the court case happened, no one still really knows what really went on here. OK, was this an incident prompted by someone being psychotic, hearing voices, having delusional beliefs? We don't really know that. He was in the system. They assessed him many times. But by the way, they assessed him really badly. The first psychiatrist who assessed him did it over a phone call, believe it or not. OK, and this is after he had assaulted someone at school with a hockey stick. So a very dangerous incident. This story is one of red flag after red flag, and the system just ignoring these red flags. So the first assessment happened over a phone call. The psychiatrist didn't even see the patient face to face. Okay, and then afterwards, when they were being investigated by the inquiry, the psychiatrist said that this man was aggressive with the psychiatrist and manipulative and dominated the conversation. I mean, another red flag. You've got a child who's been violent talking to an authority figure who takes control of the conversation, shows no remorse whatsoever. So I think what's happened here is he's smart and he's learned how to manipulate the system because the system's taught him how to do it. Okay, I think that's what's happened over a long period of time.
And now he is in Broadmoor. Do you think there's a chance that he may remain in there for the rest of his sentence, which is still 50 years?
No, I think it's very, very unlikely. The story that happens again and again where someone develops a mental illness, if he has developed a mental illness as opposed to pretending to have one or manipulating the system, is that you receive treatment for a while at Broadmoor and then you're returned to the prison. So I think that is what is most likely to happen. I do want to emphasize again, having been in Broadmoor, it's not cushy, okay, but it is significantly better conditions than in Belmarsh. But the thing that's very puzzling here is if he's mentally ill enough to be transferred, what happened during the court process? Because the court process would have been very stressful. How come the court decided to try him and ignore any kind of mental illness plea and decided he was fully responsible for his actions? If he went through the whole court system without displaying signs of mental illness so that the legal system would take that into account, how come now he's outside of that and he's only got doctors and nurses to deal with? You do have a suspicion that he's learned how to manipulate doctors and nurses, but discovered he couldn't do it with judges and lawyers. And that is the very big worry here. You've got a system that is failing again and again, just like NHS maternity services. This man was discharged by Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services 3 months before this tragic incident, discharged from them, and their assessment was that he wasn't dangerous. That's just incredibly bad assessing of this patient over quite a few years.
OK, yeah, thank you so much. That's Dr. Raj Prasad, the consultant psychiatrist on the ongoing horror that is the Southport attack. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Raj. And obviously we've been talking about the killer's mental health. Well, I can't get my head around the mental health of the parents of Bibi, Elsie Dot and Alice. I mean, they're the ones we should be talking about, really, aren't they? In any case, the Ministry of Justice have said the families of those murdered and injured in Southport will be in this country's heart forever, and our thoughts remain with them. The offender who carried out these vile crimes will rightly spend the entirety of his 52-year custodial sentence locked up and is likely to ever be released. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, and there is lots more coming up on today's show. It's our final half hour together. It has been indeed a roller coaster of a show. And, you know, I just want to dedicate the whole show, to be honest with you, to the parents of those 3 little girls. It's the 2nd anniversary coming up on the 29th of July. And for this story to be taking so much of our time and our headlines, it's just shocking. The timing is horrendous, and the family knew nothing about the murder of their children being transferred, and you can understand their anger, because we've been talked about, as I said, the psychiatric situation concerned with the killer. Well, there is no hope for those, no help for those families, is there? It's just going to live with them for the rest of their lives. In any case, please do let me know what you think. Much more coming up after the news headlines with Bethany Elsey.
The headlines at 2:30. More than 220,000 people in France and Spain have been told to leave their homes as severe wildfires continue to spread. The French government has deployed the army to tackle the flames which are approaching Bordeaux. And Spain has declared a national emergency as officials in Madrid say the fire is beyond the capacity of the fire crews. Meanwhile, Police Scotland have declared a major incident as emergency services continue to tackle a wildfire which has been burning in the Cairngorms National Park for 10 days. Almost 900 migrants have crossed the English Channel in Andy Burnham's first week in Downing Street, and hundreds more are arriving today. It comes as the Telegraph newspaper reports Iran is smuggling secret agents into Britain by disguising them as migrants on small boats. Those are your latest headlines. I'll have more in half an hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Thank you very much, Bethany, and thank you for all your comments on all the stories. It's been such a vast range of stories today, I can't quite get my head around where we are, but Tina has been in touch on the Southport killer story, and Tina says he is evil and dangerous, nothing more to say. And Tina, I agree with you, I'm sorry, but in any case, make like Tina and get your comments in gbnews.com/your say. Join the conversation about any of the stories we're discussing today, or anything you want to talk about. It is Saturday afternoon at the end of the day, and we're here to have a chat as well. Now, there's lots more coming up on today's show. Yeah, this is a shocker. Is net zero pushing Britain towards the brink? A leaked report warns that Labour's green energy drive could actually trigger blackouts and send household bills soaring. Who'd have thought it, eh? All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Some rain around today, particularly across the north, but across the south, lots of sunshine and feeling very warm, if not quite hot in the sunshine at times. Now, the reason for this rain, it's all due to this cold front slowly sinking its way southwards. Quite a few isobars on the chart as well, so it's quite a blustery start to the day. Winds gradually easing through the course of the afternoon. Very cloudy across much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Some spells of rain, if not some showers across Scotland. But to the south of this, a dry day ahead, much lighter winds, feeling very warm in that sunshine. Highs reaching widely between 26 to 29 degrees Celsius, though a little bit fresher under the cloud. Highs here reaching into the high teens. Now, to finish off the day, a mostly cloudy end across Scotland, a few showers skirting around, particularly around coastal areas. Perhaps a little bit of brightness to end the day across Aberdeenshire. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, plenty of cloud here and some spells of rain at times. Some rain just gradually starting to push into northwest Wales, but otherwise across much of the south and southeast, it should be a dry end to the day with some late evening sunshine. Now, we'll see some showers ease away for a time and then eventually thicker cloud and more rain starting to push in from the west. This could turn a little bit heavy across the hills of Scotland and northern parts of England. Lots more cloud pushing into parts of the south and southeast overnight as well. And with the cloud and rain, that should hold temperatures up most towns and cities in the mid to high teens. Now, on Sunday for many of us, quite the change. Plenty of cloud around, some spells of rain clearing their way eastwards, and then plenty of showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. We will see some splashes of rain across parts of the south, but fairly hit and miss showers, so still very dry across these areas. Feeling much fresher, not quite as warm for many areas, highs reaching 25 degrees.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company, and lots of you are indeed still getting in touch, including, I've just lost your comment now, but someone's saying, well, why do you keep saying get in touch and you read as many comments out as you possibly can? And then you say, well, we're all saying the same thing. Well, it's because most of you have got an awful lot of common sense and you are saying the same thing. Like I read Tina's comment out just now. It's like about the Southport killer, whose name I'm not going to use. He is evil. I'm sorry, I agree with Tina, and lots of you are saying the same thing. And that's why I don't read out individual comments. In any case, please do keep them coming in, gbnews.com/your say, because I love talking to all of you. OK, now let's talk about about, shall we, net zero? I know, someone's got to. A leaked report has warned Labour's drive towards net zero could increase the risk of blackouts and push up household energy bills. The report obtained by The Times concluded the state-owned body is unable to accurately model Britain's increasingly complex electricity network. In simple terms, it suggests flawed forecasting is increasing consumer costs, which will hike up, our energy bills. We knew that was coming. Joining us now is Campaign Director at Net Zero Watch, Maurice Cousins. Maurice, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Always good to talk to you. What's going on here, Maurice? It sounds quite complicated.
Well, in really sort of simple terms, the grid is a very complex sort of system, and it needs to be balanced every minute, minute by minute, at a certain frequency, about sort of 50 hertz across that grid. And if it sort of dips below or goes above it, then you get risks of sort of system failure and blackout. And in order to be able to maintain that balance under the older system where you had centralised firm forms of power generation, that's very easy to sort of do. You sort of know, and you've got good visibility over the system, and you can basically match supply with demand in real time in a very, very easy way. But over the last 2 decades, we've incrementally been increasing the amount of intermittent, low-density, diffuse forms of power generation, wind and sun, wind and solar.
Yep.
And that is much more difficult to sort of manage, to predict, to monitor, and to be able to see what's sort of happening. And that now is becoming sort of the norm, and we're going to be seeing more of this, lack of stability in the system as more and more of this type of generation is added to the grid. I think that is essentially at the heart of what this leaked report is sort of getting down to.
It sounds because one whistleblower here, according to a report that I'm reading, he says we're operating blind, literally, fly by the seat of our pants every single day when it comes to making sure the lights stay on.
Yes, I mean, it's really frustrating because there have been campaign organisations like mine and others that have been making these arguments for a number of years now, and I think it's really getting to the stage where it's becoming unavoidable, and we can't get away from the fact that our grid is becoming less stable. And there have been events that have happened, and we're talking here within the last few weeks and months, where, which is what this report in the Times is arguing, that operational limits were sort of breached, and we're not being told the whole truth in terms of how secure and stable the grid is, despite assurances from ministers.
Well, we all take them with a pinch of salt, I suspect. So. The green energy we're told that we will have to rely on at some point in the near future, and how long that is, I mean, sort of like, solar and wind. Mm-hmm. Will that ever happen? Will we ever be able to rely on that?
I mean, bottom line, no, I don't think we can. If something doesn't work, it will eventually stop, and I think that's where we're close getting to that moment. And I think that's what these whistleblowers. I think this is really important. These are allegations which are coming from within the heart of NESO. This is not, bad faith actors externally, politicians or the media that are trying to sort of find a juicy story here. Somebody is making a very serious allegation, and it's fortunate that we've got organisations like GBNews. I think you're the only real broadcaster here that are giving this story any amplification. But I don't think this is possible. And eventually we'll have to get back to a more firmer system. But getting back to that's going to be very expensive, I'm afraid.
Well, I mean, what does getting back to it look like? What does that actually mean in real terms?
Well, I mean, if we go back to, say, for example, the early 2000s, where we had, and I'm not necessarily saying we have to go back to coal, but back then, you had a good mix of generation. You had a small amount of renewable energy generation. So I'm not saying you have to have absolutely zero, but nuclear, bit of coal, bit of gas, and that was a much more easier system to sort of manage. And at that point, we had, I think that was when electricity prices in this country were the lowest they had ever been. And I think this is really important. Complexity means more risk and also more costs to be able to manage that. So if we want to get our bills down, we need to get back to a system which is less complicated and complex to run and organise.
So the old school systems that we used to have that work quite well.
Yes.
But what about the environment?
Well, I think this is really a very interesting question. You know, clearly we all care about the environment, and we all want to, you know, see a clean air, and we don't want to be contributing to sort of climate change. But we need to remember that this is a global problem, and we're only really responsible for less than 1% of emissions. The idea that we need to beggar ourselves by destroying our energy base is a sensible way of going about this. Is not really credible. And, you know, we are of no use to anybody in the world with a broken energy system and with deindustrialization. So, you know, I think the advocates for the clean power mission and more renewables, they need to take that into account.
And this winter coming up, we don't know what the weather's going to be like, obviously, but, you know, normally when we have a hot summer as we've had, we do get a fairly harsh winter. How worried are you that we are going to have trouble keeping the lights going and heating our homes?
I wouldn't want to sort of predict or to sort of scaremonger, but, you know, you speak to other people out there that do understand the system, and they get worried that each winter, that goes on, and we're reducing the amount of firm power generation in our system, it makes it more precarious and more difficult to manage. So, you know, that is a reality that policymakers in Westminster need to confront. We are really putting our future in their hands, and we're just hoping that they know what they're doing. But I mean, candidly, hope isn't really a strategy.
No, yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in and making sense of that. Maurice Cousins there, thank you. I think I'm reassured. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. That's Campaign Director at Net Zero Watch, Maurice Cousins there. I kind of think that I'm a bit more worried now. Thank you, Maurice. In any case, a NESO spokesman said Britain has one of the most reliable electricity systems in the world, and described Cornwall Insights report, which is the report we were just discussing, as a forward-looking assessment of risks that could become more significant during the 2030s unless addressed. It said a programme of work to implement the recommendation was underway. A government spokesperson said, "We are very confident in our security supply arrangements that have the tools they need to manage the system." Well, it doesn't really sound like it, does it? But hey. OK, I'm Dawn Newsom. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. Yeah, we have Doogie in a flat cap. What's not to like? The Game Fair, a highlight of the rural calendar, is taking place today. We're on the scene for the annual celebration of the great British countryside, and Doogie is indeed there live with some rather cute animals, it has to be said. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, the forecast for those top European holiday destinations for you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations forecast.
A few showers possible over parts of northern and eastern Italy during the course of the weekend. There's been quite a lot of showers recently in northern Turkey. They are fading for Sunday. Much of the south of Turkey dry and sunny, along with most of Greece on Sunday as well. Southern Italy still hot and sunny as well, but further north there is the potential for some big thundery showers. Could even see one or two in Mallorca. Most of Spain and Portugal dry and sunny. Sunny spells for Madeira and the Canaries. Lots more sunshine to come into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Olympian Sharon Davies. Sharon, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I think this is preposterous that we're banning Sports Day for kids, and our viewers are obviously also thinking this is completely bonkers. But is there a case to be made that perhaps we should be looking after young people when the heat is quite extreme in many people's cases, they'll say? What do you think, Sharon?
I think looking after our kids is making them resilient and giving them a sports day. I mean, sport in schools has been relegated year on year on year, and it's so depressing. You know, it's such an important part of young people's lives. Give them a hat, give them some sunscreen, make sure they're drinking plenty of water, stick them in the shade when they're not, you know, actually having a little race. This is all about just kids getting used to life, and wrapping them in cotton wool is not the answer.
The People's Channel. Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
So you go along to the car showroom and only like 10%, at most maybe 15%, pay cash. The rest buy on some form of financing. And you often buy, it's a bit like a mortgage, and it's like buying a mortgage from the estate agent, which we all know is a terribly bad idea. But this is what people did. And the deal is, the scandal is, the guys in the showroom were acting as dealers and brokers, and they were in many cases inflating the interest rate that you paid so that they could get bigger commission. And they didn't declare that. So you basically ended up paying more for your car than you would otherwise have done if you'd gone into the open market and found yourself, a better deal.
How did that come to light?
Well, over many years. I mean, this has been going on since 2007.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Ruth Ellis was executed on the 13th of July 1955. She was convicted of murdering a partner, David Blakely. There's been a long campaign about what to do about all of that. She has now had a conditional pardon, which would mean she would have been sentenced to life rather than sentenced to death. So it's a significant move, but what do her family make of it? Well, her grandson, Stephen Beard, is here alongside solicitor Grace Horton. Good to see you both this morning. I mean, look, from a family perspective, Stephen, what does this mean?
It's huge. It was a monumental day yesterday. In essence, it's the removal of a negative blotch in our family history. We have effectively rewritten history because ultimately, for the last 70-odd years, the truth hasn't been known.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. It's our final 12 minutes together. And thank you always for your comments and your company. OK, but we are finishing the show with a highlight. Indeed, it's the wonderful Doogie Beattie, who is at the annual Game Fair, which is taking place in Warwickshire today. The event seeks to celebrate our rural life and highlight the importance of the great British countryside. So let's just cut to the chase and go straight to Doogie. Doogie, what's happening?
Yeah. Dawn, I'm surprised you almost smirked at how I was dressed. I'm in amongst the aristocracy here, I mean, I have to look the part, all in tweed. What are you saying? Anyway, yes, we're here at the Game Fair. Isn't it amazing? Thousands and thousands of people coming into this fair, all enjoying countryside sports. Now, what you're watching behind us at the minute is gun dogs. This is man and dog working as one. In this case, female and dog working as one. And one of the men that's actually really into this type of stuff is Neil Varney. Neil, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm the coordinator of this arena. So we run 15 demonstrations a day through here. They're all invited by me. The one you see in the background now, that's Sam Thatcher from Strigaday Gun Dogs. Probably one of the most successful spaniel ladies that I know. And she's a firm favourite at the Game Fair. I think it's been coming about 6 years now. There's an old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So keep it coming. Personally, I've been doing it for 20 years. 20 next year. It's my 20th anniversary. But I coordinate everything here, invite all the people, do my own demonstrations, which I always do first thing in the morning to get them out of the way.
And how does a dog react to these commands?
The demonstration ring is the hardest place to do it because there's lots of people watching, there's loads of things going on behind you. They don't always react as well as they do at home, and that's where your commentary comes in hand, and you learn over the years to get yourself out of a mess by talking, because sometimes the just dogs don't do exactly as they're told. You've got to remember that we've got 15 demonstrations a day in there. There's quite a bit. Dogs have been weeing and pooing in there, big and picked up, but there's so many distractions in there that it's hard work sometimes. But an experienced campaigner knows how to get round it.
Well, it's not only the dog training that's there. This is an industry on its own. And joining us now is Pip. Pip runs her very own successful company making products for these gun dogs. How long have you been going, Pip?
Nearly 20 years.
And how big is the company?
I think we're global, market leader throughout Europe and UK.
And I mean, how did that come about? How did you decide to start making gun dog product?
I could not find anything I liked, so I literally started something on the kitchen table, bribed a few friends, come and help me make some leads, canvas dummies. Fast forward 20 years, I employ 25 people, all British-made products, which I'm really proud of.
Well, there you go. I mean, Dawn, if there's nothing else to be said at this show, I mean, there's industry, there's competition, there's watching animals work with humans in a most amazing way. I mean, the dogs are only one part of it. This morning we were talking about the skills of tradesmen, and everybody, thousands and thousands of people are coming in here to enjoy this. You can watch anything from shooting, angling, equestrian, you know, and people of this area are definitely coming in. You can just hear that whistle going, and that's commands. If you can just see that dog bringing the dummy back to her, I mean, it's amazing to watch. Really, really amazing to watch. And the dog won't let go till she says let go. Some of these gun dogs are trained to run in a straight line through these bushes or whatever and come back with the product. This is a show well worth coming to, well seen, and it really is about British culture and industry at its very, very best. And, of course, you can buy yourself some fancy clothing.
Oh, Dougie, you always look deliciously dapper. Thank you very much. Our very own proper country gent there. Doogie Beattie, thank you so much. That is, what a wonderful report. And isn't it lovely to celebrate something so... All right, you stop posing now, Doogie, go away. OK, thank you so much for your company today. I've been Dawn Newsom from GB News. Obviously, thank you so much for your watching. I've really enjoyed all your comments there. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. So thank you for being there with me. But don't go anywhere, because Nana is up next, and she's always got a brilliant show for you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm back for lunch tomorrow, so I hope to see you then. Have a good Saturday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A bit of a change ahead for some of us. We're going to see a few more spells of rain, not feeling quite as warm into tomorrow either for some of us. We've also had some rain this afternoon. That's mostly where we see this cold front sinking its way southwards. Fair few isobars on the chart as well, so a bit breezier at times across the north. Well, we'll see that rain sinking south. It will continue to bring some light outbreaks across central areas of England and Wales, and a few showers starting to creep in across parts of the south. Another band of heavy rain pushes in from the west as well. It could be quite heavy across the hills of Scotland first thing on Sunday morning. And with the cloudier skies, that means temperatures won't drop too low, mostly in the mid to high teens. So to start on Sunday, it's going to be rather unsettled across Scotland. Quite a wet start and quite windy across some coastal areas as well. And still, some of this rain could be a little bit heavy across the hills. Very similar across Northern Ireland and northern parts of England. Most of the rain will have cleared, but we've got plenty of cloud and scattered showers following on behind, and a similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Now, across much of the south and southeast, they will see some splashes of rain as we head through tomorrow, but very light outbreaks and very hit and miss showers, so some areas will still remain dry. But across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, and at times across the Midlands, we will see some showers which could turn a little heavy. But any showers we do see across the south will have fizzled away by the afternoon, so more sunnier spells to develop here. But notice a change in temperatures, highs only reaching around 25 degrees Celsius, so still warm and pleasant, but a little bit fresher compared to what we've had this afternoon, and certainly feeling that bit cooler across northern areas of the UK. Some showers still lingering across the evening before eventually fading away. Plenty of clear skies across Scotland actually to finish off the day, so a cooler night here. And then sunshine will build back through into next week along with the higher temperatures.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the